Chapter 327. The Little Fangirl Visits, Plans to Advance _6. Could an ordinary girl compose such a poem if she weren't talented? Absolutely impossible. Li Yanran rolled her eyes speechlessly. Brother, those involved are often perplexed while bystanders see things clearly. Don't be deceived by appearances. Li Xianxia is not as wonderful as you think. You have no idea. Her manner of eating was so disgusting at the Mo family's last time. It was nauseating. Li Yanran didn't like Li Xianxia one bit, and she couldn't understand why Li Tingji fell for Li Xianxia. How could such a smart and savvy girl like her have such a foolish brother? Out of all the people, why does he have to fall for Li Xianxia? She's such a flirt. Li Yanran. Li Tingji lifted his head, each word filled with a stern warning. Silently, Li Yanran responded, All right. I won't say it. Li Tingji glared at Li Yanran, cautioning, If I ever hear you insult Xianxia again, even if you're my sister, I won't be easy on you. Li Yanran chuckled lightly, What will you do? Kill your own sister? Li Tingji coldly responded, Try and see. At his words, Li Yanran shivered involuntarily. Oh my God. Could her foolish brother be losing his mind? This won't do. She can't let Li Tingji sink any deeper into this. Li Tingji needs to see someone who is superior to Li Xianxia. Then, an image popped into Li Yanran's mind of someone with picturesque facial features. Tai Yang. Not only is Ni Yang 1,000, no 1,000,000 times more attractive than Li Xianxia, but she's also exceptionally talented. Most importantly, her cooking is delicious, leaving Li Xianxia far behind in the dust. It should be Ni Yang. Grinning, Li Yanran said, Brother, aren't you going to ask where I went today? Li Tingji coolly responded, I don't know. Li Yanran wasn't bothered by Li Tingzi's attitude. Her weird brother never had a good expression for anyone. I went to a friend's house. Her name is Yang, incredibly beautiful and very capable. Lots of times better than Li Xianxia. Upon hearing the last sentence, Li Tingzi's expression changed abruptly. Stop your unrealistic fantasies. In this life, aside from Xianxia, I will never love anyone else. Li Yanran responded speechlessly, Brother, don't be so cocky. What if you end up truly liking Yang? Li Tingji stated firmly, That's absolutely impossible. He has seen plenty of attractive girls before, but he is not the kind to judge a person based solely on looks. He values their inner essence. What if you fall for her? Li Yanran raised an eyebrow. There are no what-ifs. Li Yanran continued, Brother, is it really worth it? Li Xianxia doesn't like you at all. Not only does Li Xianxia not like Li Tingji, but she's also stringing him along, giving him mixed signals, which is what Li Yanran dislikes most about Li Xianxia. Yet, Li Tingji can't seem to see it, treating Li Xianxia like a treasure. Li Tingji said, This is my business, not yours. Li Yanran replied, But you're my brother. How is it not related to me? Take care of yourself, said Li Tingji as he stood up, put on his coat and walked out. Brother, where are you going? Li Yanran immediately followed behind Li Tingji. Li Tingji turned to look back at Li Yanran. Stop following me. With a sigh of resignation, Li Yanran didn't bother guessing where her foolish brother was heading. He was surely off to find Li Xianxia. It seems she must devise a plan for Ni Yang and Li Tingji to meet. Li Yanran stroked her chin in contemplation. As expected, Li Tingji had indeed gone to see Li Xianxia. He waited for a long time outside the girls' dormitory until he finally saw Li Xianxia come downstairs. Tingji, I'm sorry for keeping you waiting. It's fine. Li Tingji seemed a bit nervous standing in front of the girl he liked. I'm not in a rush. Li Xianxia glanced at Li Tingji and said, By the way, Tingji, I have a favor to ask. Whatever you need, Xianxia, Li Tingji said, as long as I can help, I definitely will. Li Xianxia asked, Could you lend me 20,000 yuan? Mo Baichuan's birthday was fast approaching, and Li Xianxia wanted to give him a surprise. Additionally, she wanted to repay a debt. Without hesitation, Li Tingji responded, Of course, Xianxia, but I don't have the cash on me right now. How about I bring it to you tomorrow morning? At this, Li Xianxia looked shaken. She knew that Li Tingji had always liked her. But she hadn't expected him to agree to lend her the money so readily. After all, 20,000 wasn't a small sum. 20,000 in the 80s was equivalent to 200,000 in later years. If she had known how much Li Tingji liked her, she wouldn't have needed to sell blood to buy the ice skin jade cream last time. She could have just borrowed the money from Li Tingji. What a miscalculation. Li Xianxia internally kicked herself. How could she have forgotten about Li Tingji? Maintaining her composure, Li Xianxia nodded. Thank you, Tingji. By the way, why did you call me out so late at night? Li Tingji continued. Oh, I have something to give you. He then took out a wood carving from his pocket and handed it to Li Xianxia. The wood carving depicted a phoenix soaring with wings spread wide. In Li Tingji's heart, Li Xianxia was a noble phoenix. Li Xianxia reached out to take it. Thank you. I really like it. Li Tingji blushed a bit. I'm glad you like it. I'll take my leave if there's nothing else. Li Xianxia nodded. Li Tingji turned to leave. Just then, Li Xianxia suddenly called out to Li Tingji. Tingji, wait. Li Tingji halted. Xianxia, what is it? Walking over, Li Xianxia gently embraced Li Tingji before whispering in his ear. Tingji, thank you so much. I feel really fortunate to have such a good confidant in you in this lifetime. Li Tingji froze, his heart pounding in his chest. Feeling Li Tingji's heartbeat, a smile tugged at the corners of Li Xianxian's mouth. It seemed that she had underestimated his feelings for her. There was nothing wrong with Li Tingji, he was well off and influential. It was just that he paled in comparison to Mo Baichuan. The dim night light conveniently concealed their movements. Had it been daylight, it undoubtedly would have caused a stir, especially considering the conservative standards of male-female relationships in the 80s. Having returned from the future, Li Xianxia didn't think there was anything inappropriate about a hug between a man and a woman, as long as their relationship remained that of platonic friends. As for what Li Tingji thought, that was none of her concern. Chapter 328, Beautiful Rose Wall, Have Western Food Together _1 Li Xianxia thoroughly enjoyed the sense of superiority from being pursued by men. What was this behavior called? In later times, it was referred to as being a white lotus, green tea bitch. But Li Xianxia certainly did not see it that way. If she had the ability to make men submit at her feet, offering her everything, why was she labeled in various derogatory terms? As for those who lacked the ability, they could only resort to jealousy and slander. Feeling that the time was right, Li Xianxia let go of Li Tingji. Tingji, it's getting late, you should head back. Okay. Li Tingji seemed slightly out of it. By the time he came to his senses, Li Xianxia had already disappeared into the dense night. He promised himself to protect Li Xianxia for the rest of his life. Staring at the direction of Li Xianxian's disappearance, a firm resolve glimmered in Li Tingji's eyes. Yang has been quite busy recently. She was not only occupied with the noodle restaurant's affairs but also the renovation of the new house. The new house was only built to the second floor, still 2 floors short of completion. The outer walls were already set up. Yang planned to plant roses around the walls to create a natural rose wall. Roses were vine-like plants, with blossoms that could be pink or red. If allowed to grow all over the wall, it would be quite a sight. Even when there were no flowers, a lush green wall wouldn't be unsightly. Living under a beautiful rose wall, just imagining it felt so romantic. Life should be filled with moments of charm and grace. In reality, Yang always had a love for life and the countryside, but in her previous life, she was too busy with work and earnings and missed out on the beauty of life. So, she wants to achieve all that she missed in her previous life, in this one. Besides the rose wall, Yang also planned to build a grape trellis in the courtyard, with a stone table and chairs under it, where they could laze about and eat grapes in the summer. On the night of Qixi Festival, Chinese Valentine's, one could eavesdrop on the conversation between Niulong and Jinu, cowherd and weaver girl, under the grape trellis. She wanted to dig a small pond too, plant some water lilies, raise a few koi fish and a couple of turtles. Yang picked up her pen and started designing the courtyard. In a little while, a gorgeous little courtyard began taking shape on the paper. Yang clapped her hands, rose from her chair, and started on the first design on her blueprint. The rose wall. The wall was already complete. All it needed now were the roses. Roses. There were rose seeds sold in the city's gardening center, but the seeds take a long time to sprout. By the time the roses enveloped the entire wall, it would be into the next year. Xianxia rubbed her chin pensively. Suddenly, she remembered there were wild roses on the mountain behind. The wild roses were a fiery red color, exotic and vibrant, even more so framed by the green leaves. It was now mid-spring, the perfect time to grow wild roses. Come summertime, a wall full of red flowers could be seen. However, as Xianxia had just moved to Jinghua village, she couldn't remember where the wild roses were. Xianxia picked up a small hoe, put on her carry bag, greeted Xianxia, and headed outside. On reaching the village center, she saw Gooden playing marbles under a banyan tree with a few kids. Coincidentally, as Xianxia arrived, she saw Yang Guobao running towards them, exhilarated. "Sister Xianxia." "Guobao." Xianxia squatted down and opened her arms to him. Yang Guobao rushed into Xianxia's arms. "Sister Xianxia, I missed you a lot." "Debao, what brought you here?" Gooden approached, his face filled with surprise. "Gooden." Yang Guobao turned and hugged Gooden. Gooden, a bit embarrassed, said, "Grown men, all this hugging is a bit—" Yang Guobao interrupted, "Oh, Gooden, Sister Xianxia, I brought gifts for you all." As he said this, Yang Guobao took out 2 blue boxes, slightly larger than a cigarette pack. "These are Tetris game consoles?" Xianxia raised an eyebrow slightly. She didn't expect Tetris game consoles to exist in this era. She thought these consoles were from the 90s. But having a Tetris game console in this era was sure more impressive than owning a cell phone in the later era. "What's this?" Gooden asked curiously. "This is a video game console. It'll teach you how to play." Yang Guobao switched it on and a familiar tune filled the air. While Yang Guobao manipulated the game console, he explained to Gooden, "These 4 buttons here represent up, down, left, and right and help control the direction of the Tetris blocks. The big button on the right rotates the blocks and also starts the game." Chapter 329, Beautiful Rose Wall, Have Western Food Together _2. The game console had a black and white display screen, containing games like Tetris, pinball, shooting, racing, and tank fighting. Gooden was a smart kid. He figured out how to operate it after just a few tries. "Debao, thank you. I really like this game console." Gooden carefully put the game console into his pocket. Yang Guobao replied with a laugh, "We are good buddies, Gooden. You don't have to be so polite with me." Since it was a gift from Yang Guobao, Xianxia naturally did not refuse. She touched Yang Guobao's head and said, "Guobao, thank you." Yang Guobao said, "Sister Xianxia, you should call me Debao." After all, he and Gooden were both men of the dog generation. Xianxia chuckled, Okay, Debao, Debao." Yang Guobao then asked, "Sister Xianxia, where are you going?" Xianxia replied, "I thought of taking a walk on the mountain." "Oh, Gooden, do you know where there are wild roses on the hill?" Having grown up here, Gooden knew the environment of the mountain much better than Xianxia. Hearing this, Gooden scratched his head in confusion. "Wild rose? What is a wild rose?" Xianxia thought for a moment, then said, "It's spiked mallow. Do you know where the spiked mallow is on the mountain?" Spiked mallow is another name for wild rose. In the countryside, wild roses are called by this name. Sure enough, as soon as she mentioned spiked mallow, Gooden understood immediately. "Oh, Sister Xianxia, you mean spiked mallow. I know where it is. It'll take you there, but the spiked mallow is not blooming now, Sister Xianxia. Why do you want spiked mallow?" Xianxia explained with a smile, "I want to dig up the spiked mallow to build a rose wall." Yang Guobao followed behind saying, "Sister Xianxia, Gooden, I'll go with you." "Sure," Xianxia nodded. The 3 of them, 1 adult and 2 kids, walked towards the mountain with cheerful steps. It was April. The snow had melted, tender green grass was quietly poking out of the ground, the clear call of birds echoed through the woods, giving a sense of vibrant life. "Wow, what bird is that? Is that a phoenix?" It was Yang Guobao's first time in the mountains. and he found everything exciting. And Yang explained with a smile, "That is a golden pheasant." Yang Guobao then said, "Let's catch a golden pheasant to play with?" Gooden immediately stopped Yang Guobao's dangerous idea. No, the golden pheasant is a national second-class protected animal. It's punishable by imprisonment to catch it. The villagers of Jinghua village were especially conscious of protecting wildlife. No one in the village poached wild animals covertly. Hearing this, Yang Guobao had to abandon the idea. After a while, Gooden led Yang to a large bush. "Sister Yang, this is the spiked mallow bush." Yang grabbed a small hoe and began to dig out the wild roses. As Gooden and Yang Guobao didn't have any tools to help, the two boys decided to play somewhere else. In no time, Yang had dug up a full box of wild rose seedlings. At this moment, Yang Guobao and Gooden came running happily, each holding two plants that resembled an orchid. "Sister Yang, look, we found orchids." "Sister Yang, well, give them to you for planting." "Thank you." Yang reached out to take them, thinking of planting them in her yard. Gooden then said, "Sister Yang, let me carry the box for you." The box Yang was carrying was full of wild rose seedlings. It looked very heavy. With him, a sturdy young boy around, how could they let a girl do such heavy work? Yang grinned. "No need, Gooden, you still need to grow taller. If you carry something so heavy, be careful, you might end up not growing tall." Gooden insisted, "Sister Yang, it's really okay, I'm very strong." He had often done hard work at home. Yang reached out and gave Gooden's head a rub. "Sister Yang knows you're strong. But we're going downhill now. It's dangerous for a child to carry so much. I can do it myself. You and Debeo can walk ahead and lead the way. Consider it as being Sister Yang's little flower protectors." Upon hearing this, Gooden relented and walked up front with Yang Guobao, each holding a stick, acting as Sister Yang's flower protectors. Once they arrived home, Yang began to plant the wild roses. Yang Guobao and Gooden also helped with their little hoes. Gooden, who grew up in the village, was as efficient at the work as an adult, while Yang Guobao, having grown up in the city, was a bit clumsy with manual work. Chapter 330, Beautiful Rose Wall, have Western food together _3. Yang Guobao, and Gooden were busy planting flowers at the front, with Zuihua following behind to water and fertilize them. She had no idea what Yang was up to, but whatever it was, she would support unconditionally. Although Zuihua couldn't cook as well as Yang, she was quite a pro when it came to nurturing plants. After all, she used to be a farmer. She knew what kind of fertilizer could make wild roses grow faster, and what kind of pesticide could keep bugs away from them. After planting the wild roses, Yang went to the yard and picked out a spot to plant 2 orchids. Once everything was done, Yang thought of a new idea when she saw a pile of timber lying nearby. She moved 8 large logs to the corner and then went to borrow tools like a saw and planer from the carpenter who was building a house. As the carpenter was measuring a wooden template, he curiously asked, "Yang, what do you need these tools for?" The tools for sawing wood were as sharp as a knife. It was not safe for a girl to handle such tools. Yang explained, "I'm thinking of making a swing." "A swing?" The carpenter scratched his head. "What kind of swing do you want, Yang? When I have some free time, I can make one for you." Making a swing was not only technical but also required physical strength, and Yang was just a little girl after all. She could hardly make it on her own. This was a job for men. Yang smiled and said, "Thank you, but I want to try it myself. When I hit a snag, I'll come to ask for your help." "All right." The carpenter handed Yang the tools. Yang took the tools and politely said thank you. In fact, Yang had made a swing in her previous life. However, she had not done it for a long time and was a bit rusty with the methods. As she was sawing and planing the wood, Yang Guobao and Gooden squatted nearby and watched. "Sister Yang, can you really make a swing?" "Of course." Yang Guobao affirmed, "Sister Yang is the most capable person in the world." The original baking oven was jointly made by Yang and Yang Guobao. In April, the weather started to warm up slightly, and because Yang was doing physical work, Her forehead was soon covered with sweat beads. Yang took off her outer jacket, revealing a white sweater beneath, and tied up her black hair into a bun, exuding a youthful aura. When Mo Baichuan appeared at the entrance to the Ni family courtyard, he was greeted by this sight. The girl in front of him left him slightly dazed. Just then, the door next to the courtyard opened, and a beautiful middle-aged woman carrying a child walked out. Upon seeing Mo Baichuan, she paused. "Who are you looking for?" It was not difficult to see a resemblance to Yang in the woman's eyes. "I'm looking for Yang," Mo Baichuan replied. He initially thought of politely greeting her, but on second thought, he didn't need to please Yang specifically. If anyone should be trying to please, it should be Yang trying to please him. Him deigning to come personally was already giving enough face to Yang. This young man didn't know his place, Zuehua thought and frowned subtly, then shouted for Yang. "Yaneng, come quickly, someone's looking for you." "I'm coming." Yang put down the tools in her hands, turned around and walked towards the entrance. "Who's looking?" Upon seeing Mo Baichuan, she stopped in her tracks. "What are you doing here? Seeking attention?" Even now, Yang still didn't think much of Mo Baichuan. Even if Mo Baichuan was the nephew of Mo Qishan, Mo Baichuan saw the surprise in Yang's eyes. Surprise? Shouldn't Yang be thrilled and flattered? How long does Yang intend to keep this pretense up? Mo Baichuan handed the bag he was carrying to Yang. "Don't misunderstand. My grandmother sent me here." These Qingming fruits were also her idea. Only then did Yang remember that Qingming festival was approaching. Even though it was already April, this was according to the solar calendar. According to the lunar calendar, it was only the 9th of March. There were no specific dates for the Qingming festival. According to the solar term, the 12th of this month would be the Qingming festival. The tradition in Beijing was to eat Qingming fruit during the Qingming festival. Qingming fruit is essentially a large dumpling, but because mugwort juice was added when kneading the dough, the color was green. Yang naturally wouldn't refuse the kindness of Mrs. Mo. She reached out and took the bag. "Please thank Mrs. Mo for me." Chapter 331. Beautiful Rose Wall, have Western food together _4. "Auntie Mo?" Mo Baichuan frowned slightly. "I'm your grandmother. Do you think it's appropriate for you to call me Auntie Mo?" Yang gave a faint smile. "I call you uncle and even brother Mo, so why wouldn't it be appropriate to call you Auntie Mo? Technically, I'm a generation older than you. Do you think it's right for you to call me by my first name?" Mo Baichuan's eyes flashed with noticeable displeasure. "Yang, do you really have to do this? I think I've made myself clear enough." He would never fancy someone like Yang. No matter what Yang does, it would all be in vain. Yang knew he was being narcissistic again. She turned her gaze to Zuehua. "Mom, I baked some fruit slices in the bread oven. Can you go check on them for me?" Zuehua, being a perceptive individual, immediately carried the child into the courtyard. "Sure, I'm on it." Yang looked at Mo Baichuan, trying to keep her voice calm. "Mo Baichuan, I think I've already made myself clear, rest assured. I'm not even slightly interested in you. To tell you the truth, I like guys like your uncle, and I'm already with him. By that account, I'm of your aunt's generation. Do you think I would harbor any inappropriate thoughts towards a younger generation?" Mo Baichuan tightly pursed his lips, remaining silent. How was that even possible? How could Yang possibly be with that useless Mo Qishan? She must be using a feign weakness strategy to provoke him. Did she really think he, Mo Baichuan, was that easily provoked? Yang continued, "There's another thing I believe I need to clarify with you. The watch last time, I found it on the grass, but when I rushed out, you were already gone." Yang pondered and concluded that Mo Baichuan might have misunderstood her regarding this matter. But she truly did find the watch. Everything else was just a coincidence. Hearing her words, Mo Baichuan's eyes shone with cynicism. "All right, let's say you found the watch, then why did you show up in Beijing? Accidentally preparing breakfast for Granny Mo, and then saving Mo Hudi." This was clearly Yang deliberately trying to get close to him. Yang was amused by his accusation. "Why can't I come to Beijing? Does the entire Beijing belong to your family?" You are such a dictator. Having said that, Ni Yang continued in a calm manner. I came to Beijing because it's a big city with a broad mind, where I can live a better life. Moreover, I didn't know you were from Beijing before I came here. Mo Baichuan looked at Ni Yang, continuing his interrogation. Then why didn't you leave immediately after seeing me in Beijing? Leave? Ni Yang was again amused. Why should I leave? Does the whole of Beijing belong to you, Mo Baichuan? Mo Baichuan, you can be anything in this world, but there's one thing you must never lack. Do you know what that is? Considering Mo Baichuan is Mo Kishin's nephew, Ni Yang wanted to have a proper conversation with him, but this guy simply wouldn't give her a chance. After all, it's better to resolve misunderstandings than keep them. If Mo Baichuan was going to continue being like this, then she wouldn't be polite anymore. Mo Baichuan stared at Ni Yang, his eyes full of scrutiny. Ni Yang continued, that's self-awareness, the wise know others, the enlightened know themselves. Ni Yang, I admit, your feign weakness strategy did attract me, but you should understand the principle of quitting while you're ahead. If you keep going like this, you're only going to outrun yourself. You might even end up shooting yourself in the foot. Having said this, Mo Baichuan continued, I'm willing to give you a chance to get close to me. Whether you can seize it, that's up to you. Although my wife has to be from a prominent family, if you're willing to work hard, who knows, you might be able to reach the position you want. Although Mo Baichuan truly despised Ni Yang's approach of getting close to him, he had to admit, she did attract him. As long as Ni Yang could mend her ways in the future, he believed he could reluctantly try to accept Ni Yang. Of course, whether she could seize this opportunity was up to Ni Yang herself. Ni Yang took a deep breath and reiterated, Mo Baichuan, I'm truly with your uncle Mo Qishan, and I don't harbor any inappropriate thoughts towards you. However, you could give this opportunity to Li Xianxia. I believe she'd be overjoyed to hear about it. Chapter 332, Beautiful Rose Wall, Have Western Food Together _5. If things go on like this, Ni Yang feels like she'd go insane. Why on earth did she go to the mountains to cut pig grass? If she hadn't cut the pig grass, she wouldn't have run into the suspicious narcissist, Mo Baichuan. Are you being jealous of Li Xianxia? Mo Baichuan narrowed his eyes. Oh my God! Ni Yang almost lost her patience. I feel like I've made it clear enough. Can you please stop being so narcissistic? She was going crazy. Why were simple truths so hard to articulate to Mo Baichuan? Ni Yang. It wasn't just Ni Yang who was speechless, Mo Baichuan was too. Despite the circumstances, she was still playing hard to get. Was she waiting for him to chase her? Want him to chase her? That was impossible. Impossible in this lifetime. I've made myself very clear, can't you stop pretending? Are you not tired of it? Ni Yang, this is so hard. I'm having such a tough time. The gate is over there, hope you find your way out. With that said, Ni Yang closed the courtyard gate. She couldn't entertain Mo Baichuan too much because no matter what she did, he always interpreted it as deliberate seduction or playing hard to get. So she had no choice but to ignore him. Mo Baichuan looked at the tightly closed gate, his eyebrows furrowing deeply. What was Ni Yang trying to do? He had already lowered himself so much, but she kept playing hard to get. Didn't she realize she was overdoing things? Ni Yang, you'll regret this. With those words left behind, Mo Baichuan stormed off in a huff. He firmly believed that Ni Yang would eventually give in and come looking for him. As for whether or not he'd give Ni Yang a chance at that time, that was another matter. Ni Yang, in the courtyard, squinted slightly. As she had been standing there talking to Mo Baichuan for a good while, Ni Yang now felt cold. She put her coat back on and continued making the swing. Just then, Ni Zihua came over from next door, holding a child. Yang, has that young man just now left? Yeah. Ni Yang nodded. Yang, who is he? Why did he bring you ripe Qingming fruit? Ni Zihua asked curiously. Ni Yang explained, he's Brother Mo's nephew. The ripe Qingming fruit was sent by Granny Mo. Oh, I see. Ni Zihua nodded thoughtfully. So he's Xiaomo's nephew. He's so inferior to Xiaoma. No manners at all, as if someone owes him money. Ni Zuehua appreciated the young man, Mo Qishan, much more than Mo Baishuan. Ni Yang nodded in agreement. Indeed, he's so much worse than brother Mo. Seeing Ni Yang like this, Ni Zuehua felt much more relieved. She was afraid Ni Yang would foolishly fancy a clueless youngster like Mo Baichuan. Mo Baichuan was clearly a strong machismo type, who would surely not know how to pamper his wife in the future. By the way, Yang, what are you doing? Ni Zuehua asked again. Making a swing. Ni Yang looked up and pointed at little Ni Yun's nose, making a swing for our little Yun to play. Little Ni Yun giggled when Ni Yang teased her. Auntie Hua, let me hold my little sister. Yang Guobao spread his arms out. Ni Zuehua carefully handed the baby over to Yang Guobao. Little sister, do you remember me? I'm your big brother Guobao. Little Ni Yun looked at Yang Guobao and then started to laugh loudly. Little sister, I am your big brother Gooden. Gooden joined them from the side. The two of them played with little Ni Yun joyfully. About 2 hours later, Ni Yang finally finished the swing. Gooden, Guobao, you two come over and give it a try. Ni Yang called Gooden and Yang Guobao over. The two happily ran over, climbed on the swing, with Ni Yang pushing from behind. Wow! So high! The swing is so fun. Sister Ni Yang is so amazing. After a while, Yang Guobao and Gooden slid down from the swing and pulled Ni Yang onto the swing. Sister Ni Yang, hold on tight. We're going to start pushing. The gentle breeze lifted her dancing black hair, creating a stunning visual against her flawless face. The feeling of swinging was quite extraordinary. When reaching the highest point, she felt as though she was soaring, turning all her worries into a swift wind by her ear. The construction workers on the second floor making the house were all shocked when they saw this scene. Especially that carpenter from before. Originally, he thought Ni Yang would need his help to make the swing. He didn't expect that Ni Yang was so capable. Chapter 333, Beautiful Rose Wall, Have Western Food Together _6. Someone just built a swing set all by themselves. If this were in ancient times, she would definitely be considered a female general. Impressive. Really impressive. By the time she finished constructing the swing, it was already evening, and Ni Yang began to cook. The workers were not eating at their house that night, so she only needed to prepare 3 dishes and a soup. Ni Yang quickly put together the menu. One was for breast enlargement, one for slimming, and the last was a soup to reduce dark circles under the eyes. In the evening, after dinner, Ni Zuehua came out of her room holding her nose. Yang, what was that thing you brought back from Guangguan last time? Stinks. Stinks. Ni Yang wrinkled her brows. I'll go check. Ni Zuehua pointed at the big bulky thing in the corner which was covered in spikes all over. Yang, look at this thing. Stinks. Ni Yang took a look and realized it was a durian. She had brought it back, unripe, from Guangguan last time, and left it at home for a few days to ripen. The smell indicated it was now ripe. Mom, this isn't a stench, it's fragrance. Ni Zuehua incredulously replied, It's so stinky and yet you call it fragrant? Ni Yang explained, Mom, this is called durian, it's a fruit from the tropical region. It smells bad to some people, but it tastes nothing but delicious. Really? Ni Zuehua was doubtful. She suspected her daughter was teasing her, but she had no evidence. Ni Yang moved the durian to the table while smiling. It's really true. Mom, they'll cut the durian open. You go call Auntie and let her taste this exotic fruit. Ni Zuehua replied, Invite Aunt Anai to eat something this stinky? What if it upsets her stomach? Ni Zuehua was obviously uneasy, having never had durian before. Because it really stinks. Ni Yang smiled and said, I promise you'll feel different after just one bite. Doubtful but curious, Ni Zuehua went to find Ni Chingui with her child in her arms. After a short while, Ni Chingui arrived. What's that smell? It's so strong? Ni Zuehua replied, It's a durian. I told her we can't eat it, but Yang insisted it's delicious and asked me to call you over. Annie, here, try a piece of durian. Ni Yang handed Ni Chingui a piece of durian. Ni Chingui took the durian, and said delicately, "This thing, it's a bit smelly. Not just a bit, it was really stinky." Yang handed a piece to Hua and said with a smile, "The durian smells bad, but it tastes delicious. And you'll find out once you take a bite." Chenge swallowed, unable to believe what he was hearing. This thing didn't look appetizing at all. Yang took a big bite of the white, pulpy fruit. The luscious, sweet flavor felt just like eating ice cream. No matter how times change, the taste of durian remains the same. It was a taste she missed and couldn't help sighing, "It's actually really good." "Is it really that good?" Seeing her eating it like that, Chenge took a small piece and put it in his mouth. The taste wasn't as bizarre as he imagined. Another bite, it was a tad sweet. Just like that, Chenge was taking one bite after another, unknowingly polishing off the entire piece of durian. Surprised, he said to Yang, "This is actually really good." The texture was really unique, unlike any other crisp fruit. This felt soft and creamy, offering an entirely different flavor. Seeing Chenge had finished the entire piece, Hua also decided to taste it. She suddenly discovered that the taste was actually bearable. So, the three of them ended up devouring the whole durian. "It was really good," said Chenge, sitting in the chair. He then asked, "Yang, how did you know this was a delicious fruit? Such a stinky fruit, anyone else wouldn't dare to try it." But Yang was different. She brings surprises every moment. Yang replied with a smile, "This is a special product of Guangguan. I bought it home to try because people said it was delicious, and as it turns out, it really is." The next day, Yang took Hua and Yun to the city. "Mom, these are the new shops I bought." Yang took Hua in front of two new shops. Hua stood in front of the new shops with mixed feelings. Somehow, she was reminded of the days she spent with her daughter in Dam Village. Back then, she could never have imagined that one day she would live the life she was living now. "Mom, let's go in and take a look." Yang led Hua into one of the shops. The person in charge of the renovation was Wang Taienius' nephew, Zhou Dehua. Zhou Dehua was a reliable person, just like Wang Tinyu. He was very grateful to Yang for giving him this opportunity to make money. "Yang, you're here, who is this?" Zhou Dehua warmly greeted, Yang introduced him. "Uncle Zhou, this is my mom. Mom, this is Uncle Taienius' nephew." Zhou Dehua replied, "Nice to meet you. Just call me Xiao Zhou." "Xiao Zhou, you guys have been working hard these days." Zhou Dehua replied with a smile, "Not at all. You've paid us, so this is the least we could do." Yang not only paid them but also paid them 3 times the market price. Therefore, the workers were filled with energy while working. Yang took Hua for a tour around the shop, and then they went to the physical store of Ice Silk Fair Skin in the mall. After strolling in the mall for a while and buying some spring clothes, they finally left the mall. It was already nearly 12 noon. Yang looked at Hua and said, "Mom, let's go eat something. We hardly get to come to the city, we should treat ourselves to something nice." Thinking of the 158 yuan they had spent on the last meal, Hua said with a bit of distress, "No need for something too fancy, we can just go to a shop and have some noodles. We can have noodles any day." After a thought, Yang decided to take Hua to a Western restaurant to broaden her horizons. At this time, there were already 2 Western restaurants in the city. Unlike the opulent state-run restaurant that they visited last time, the Western restaurant was stylish and elegant, and the waitstaff had a strong sense of service. The restaurant was filled with the romantic melodies of the renowned violin piece, "My Own True Love." A waiter escorted the two to a window table and asked, "What can I get you?" "Race the menu." Yang flipped through the menu and started ordering. 2 sirloin steaks, 1 medium rare, 1 well done. A pizza, French escargot. Then 2 cups of cappuccino and 1 cup of plain milk. "That will be all for now, thank you." Chapter 334. Teach the scum a lesson, be the matchmaker. _1 Yang had her steak cooked medium rare. Considering that it was Hua's first time eating steak and she might not be used to it, Yang ordered one that was well done for her. Well then. Upon hearing this, the waiter showed contempt in his eyes. Just some country bumpkins, dressed up smartly, but that flashy exterior couldn't hide the sour stench of poverty about them. I'm sorry, but we don't serve well-done steaks here. The impatience was escalating in the waiter's eyes. In the year or so he's been working here, had hardly encountered customers who ordered their steak well done. Even medium rares were fine. The best way to enjoy a steak was to have it rare. How come there's no well-done steak? Yang slightly tilted her head up, her eyes twinkling with a captivating spirit. The waiter felt somewhat oppressed, as if facing a superior. Was it an illusion? She clearly looked a few years younger than him. The waiter responded calmly, "The minimum our customers order is medium. Sorry, we truly don't serve well-done steak." Yang, without intending to give the waiter a hard time, spoke softly, "Would you please let your head chef know to cook my mom's steak well done? She's not used to medium-rare steak." "I'm sorry." While the word sorry left the waiter's mouth, there was not a hint of remorse in his expression. "We can't make a well-done steak." Yang placed down the menu, slightly furrowed her brows. "You haven't conveyed the message yet. How do you know the kitchen can't prepare it? Is your steak not prepared in the kitchen?" "It is prepared in the kitchen," Yang ordered. "Then please ask the chef to cook my mother's steak well done." "Sorry, we can't." The waiter reiterated his previous statement. "This is a Western restaurant. Those without qualifications and can't speak English can't truly fit in." While he was merely a waiter, his salary was much higher than that of ordinary workers. He really didn't think much of Ni Tsuehua and Yang, regarding them as country bumpkins. Yang slightly furrowed her brow. "Rules are dead, people are alive. Is it so difficult to convey a message to the kitchen? In your position, do your job, fulfill your duty. Have you forgotten your responsibility? If you don't want to eat, the door's right over there." She didn't need to serve them if they didn't want to eat. Yang smiled faintly, opting not to stoop to the waiter's level. "I'd like to speak with your manager." The commotion quickly drew the attention of the other customers. All eyes were turned in their direction. A well-done steak was indeed rare to see, so was such a beautiful young lady. They were eager to see how Yang would resolve this issue. Upon hearing this, the waiter showed no signs of fear but instead smiled and said, "All right, just a moment. This is a Western restaurant, after all." Barring the waitstaff, all the leaders here were from F country. They didn't speak Chinese, only speaking French. Did Yang plan to lodge a complaint? Could she speak French? Given her appearance, she probably couldn't even recognize all 26 English alphabets. If Yang called the manager, she would only end up embarrassing herself. The waiter had seen too many people from his country embarrassed by their lack of French skills while communicating with their superiors. Thinking about this, the waiter was filled with disdain. Sure enough, a muscular man with blonde hair and blue eyes soon came over with the waiter. "Hello." The manager respectfully bowed, speaking in fluent French. Seeing the blonde, blue-eyed manager, the crowd couldn't wait to witness the drama that was about to unfold. "He's from F country." The young lady was going to fall flat on her face this time. Youths are too impulsive, always demanding to see managers when things don't go their way. If they can't make a well-done steak, just leave. Why make it so awkward? Yang didn't anticipate a foreigner from F country to show up, and was momentarily startled. The waiter's dismissive look became even more evident. He immediately spoke. "Manager, erase the deal. This customer is causing trouble, wanting to dine and dash." Relying on the fact that Yang and the other customers didn't understand French, he started painting Yang as a brazen customer seeking a free meal. At a nearby table, a middle-aged man elegantly sliced a piece of steak and said to a young man across from him, "Xiaoxiu, please help that lady out." Chapter 335. Teach Scum a Lesson, Act as a Matchmaker _2. Everyone here is Chinese. He can't bear to see compatriots treating their fellow citizens in such a manner. Just because they can speak some French, now it seems they have even forgotten their own last name. "Okay, Dad." The young man nodded, picked up a napkin to wipe his mouth, and got up to walk towards Yang. This young man was none other than Shangguan Su, who had several encounters with Ni Yang. Ni Yang had helped him once before, and now he could return the favor. Just then, a fluent French voice resonated in the air. It was quite pure, pronounced very standardly, as delightful as an April breeze on earth. Shangguan Su looked up. The person seemed to be covered with a layer of gold, dazzling to the extreme. This time, not only was Shangguan Su stunned, but the surrounding diners were also amazed. This young girl was so impressive. Even though they didn't understand French, they could feel it. This feeling was awe-inspiring. This is what happened. Can your restaurant not make a steak medium well? Asked Ni Yang, her tone indifferent yet intimidating. The waiter's face turned pale. She couldn't believe it. Such fluent French came from the mouth of a country bumpkin. How could this be? If Ni Yang could speak French, what did that make her? A joke? After understanding what happened, the restaurant manager bowed, saying respectfully, "We are extremely sorry for the unpleasant dining experience. I will arrange for your steak to be prepared. Our customers are our benefactors. Whether you want a medium-well steak, or even a well-done steak, we will follow your instructions. Also, all your meal orders today will be on us." The restaurant manager's attitude showed a lot of sincerity. Ni Yang replied, "It's not necessary to waive the bill, just make one of the steak medium well." Ni Yang wasn't the type that wanted to take advantage of situations. All she wanted was a positive attitude and a proper result. "All right, please wait a moment." As soon as he finished speaking, the restaurant manager turned his gaze to the waitress. "You will no longer be working here from now on." "Manager, I was wrong. I will never dare to do it again." The waitress was sweating profusely. How could she lose this job? She was earning 100 yuan monthly at this place. Where could she get a job that would pay her 100 yuan a month? The waiter hurriedly apologized to Ni Yang. "I'm so sorry. It was unintentional. I beg you to forgive me. Please give me another chance. I truly do not want to lose this job." Ni Yang smiled faintly. "Sorry, I'm just a customer. The decision to keep you or not lies with your superior, and this is beyond my control." If it had been someone else who didn't understand French, they would have been cheated today. Ni Yang isn't a saint. In her book, she only repays kindness with kindness and pay back hostility with hostility. She does not repay hostility with kindness. People must always pay a price for their words and actions. Hearing her words, the waitress' mind went blank and she stumbled out of the restaurant, escorted by others. Shangguan Su returned to his own seat, but the surprise on his face had not completely faded. How should he put it? He really hadn't expected that Ni Yang could speak French, and she did it so well too. Shangguan Zu's father, Shangguan Dehui, also had an admiring look in his eyes. This young girl really was an exceptional talent. Indeed, one should never judge a book by its cover. Now they could see there are really talented and beautiful people in this world. Looking at Ni Yang in surprise, Ni Zihua was dumbfounded because she never knew that Ni Yang could speak another country's language. "Yang, you just..." Ni Yang squeezed Ni Qihua's hand. "Mom, what I just spoke was French. Do you remember the educated youth named Ngui from our village?" "Yes, I do." Ni Zihua nodded. Ni Yang continued, "My French was taught by Ngui. Indeed, there was once an educated youth named Ngui in Dam Village who had taught Ni Yang some basic French phrases. So Ni Yang's statement wasn't wrong." "Oh, I see," Ni Zihua said with an understanding look in her eyes. Ni Yang nodded. Soon, all the dishes were served. Ni Yang picked up the pure milk for little Ni Yun to drink. Seeing the milk, little Ni Yun burst into a happy laugh. Faced with the exquisite Western meal, Ni Zihua seemed a bit at a loss. Chapter 336. Teach the scum a lesson, be the matchmaker _3. Yang, why aren't there any chopsticks?" Ni Yang laughed and said, "Mom, this is Western cuisine. Western meals are eaten with a fork and knife. Look at me, I hold the fork in my left hand, and the knife in my right hand." As she spoke, Ni Yang elegantly cut off a piece of the steak, speared it with her fork, and put it in her mouth. "Wait!" Ni Zihua interrupted in surprise. "What's this, Mom? Enai Yang asked, turning her gaze to Enai Zuehua in confusion. Yang, this meat is not cooked. There's still blood dripping from it. They should take it back quickly and cook it thoroughly. Enai Yang smiled slightly and explained, this is what a medium-rare steak looks like. It's tender and juicy and it tastes great. Enai Zuehua expressed her confusion. How can you eat the beef that isn't fully cooked? What if it got you sick? What if you catch mad cow disease? Enai Yang responded, Mom, that's a misconception. In fact, a medium-rare steak is not only edible but also much more flavorful and nutritious than fully cooked beef. It's like the durian we had last night. It doesn't look appetizing, but it tastes wonderful. Enai Zuehua frowned slightly. Really? Enai Yang continued to encourage her. Why would I deceive you? Mom, try the steak on your dish. Enai Zuehua was hesitant. No matter what, she still can't accept raw, bloody meat. The very sight of it made her skin crawl. Enai Yang reassured her. Mom, don't worry. What I ordered for you is medium well. It won't be bleeding. Enai Zuehua finally relaxed, picked up the knife and fork, and began to cut the steak as she had seen Enai Yang do it. Enai Yang had made it look straightforward while cutting, but when Enai Zuehua tried it, the utensils seemed to have become dulled. Enai Yang got up with a chuckle, went to Enai Zuehua's side, slightly leaned over and gently guided her hand to teach her how to operate the knife and fork. Mom, like this and then this. After a moment, the entire steak was cut into nice little pieces. Enai Zuehua stabbed a piece of beef and put it in her mouth. The beef was sprinkled with lemon juice and black pepper, so it didn't have a gamey taste, and it was neither tough nor chewy. The taste was indeed way better than that of the soy sauce beef and braised beef she was used to. Enai Yang handed her a piece of steak from her dish. Mom, now try this medium-rare piece. Enai Zuehua hesitantly accepted it, closed her eyes, and slowly chewed it in her mouth. It wasn't bad at all, just like what Enai Yang had described. The texture was excellent, tender and juicy, and it was delightfully bouncy when she bit into it. Even though it tasted great, Enai Zuehua still preferred the medium well-done beef. The idea of eating raw meat was a mental block she still hadn't been able to get over. Seeing Enai Zuehua's reaction, Enai Yang didn't force her and continued to teach her how to eat escargot. In Western cuisine, there's a particular way to eat escargot too. Like common people eating river snails, they can get the meat out in one slurp, but for eating escargot, there are special tools involved. Looking at the 6 big escargots in the dish, Enai Zuehua expressed her astonishment. Yang, why are these river snails white? It's not that Enai Zuehua hasn't seen escargot before. But these escargots were so big and unlike the ones she had seen in the fields, she mistook them for river snails. Enai Yang explained, Mom, these are escargots. Hearing this, Enai Zuehua was completely floored. Escargot? Escargot is the term used in the local dialect for snails. Enai Yang nodded, yes, escargot. But don't worry, Mom, these are not like the wild snails. These are edible ones and their English name is Helix pomatia. Can escargots be eaten as well? Enai Zuehua conveyed her doubt. Foreigners are too strange. They eat things no one else does. Eating the raw meat that was still bloody seemed bad enough, but now even escargots are being thrown in the mix. How frightening. Enai Yang expertly chose a piece of escargot and handed it to Enai Zuehua. Mom, give this a try. Enai Zuehua repeatedly refused. No. In the countryside, even ducks don't eat escargot. Enai Yang laughed. Mom, do you know how much each of these escargots cost? If you don't eat them, there's no way I can eat all 6 by myself. How much? Enai Yang said, 28 yuan each. What, 28 yuan each? Enai Zuehua looked incredulously. Enai Yang nodded. Then this whole dish would be 168 yuan? Enai Yang continued to nod her head. We only spent 158 yuan for dinner at the state-owned restaurant last time, but now a plate of escargot meat costs 168 yuan. It's just too expensive. Chapter 337. Teach the scum a lesson, be the matchmaker _4. Enai Zuehua reluctantly accepted the escargot, closing her eyes as she ate it. As she ate, and Aitsuehua suddenly realized that expensive food indeed had its worth. This foreign escargot tasted even better than the river snails. While indulging in French escargot and rich, aromatic cappuccino with a violin playing gracefully in the background, Ni Yang experienced relaxation like never before. When the pizza was delivered, Aitsuehua thought it was a pancake. Ni Yang laughed as she explained it was pizza. Aitsuehua uttered astonishment at her own lack of knowledge. Ni Yang said, "Mom, Western food has just started to penetrate our domestic market. There are only 2 places in Beijing that serve it. It's quite normal for you not to know. Knowledge grows gradually. One can't grow fat with a single gulp." Not only does Beijing have Western food, but also Japanese food. Ni Yang thought about it and decided to take Aitsuehua to try Japanese food during their next trip to the city. After dinner, as they were leaving the restaurant, Ni Yang noticed a movie theater's poster. The large poster advertised 4 big characters. The Shaolin Kid. "Mom, let's go watch a movie," Ni Yang suggested, turning her gaze towards Aitsuehua. Aitsuehua instinctively declined. "It's getting late, let's go home." Ni Yang, arm in arm with Aitsuehua, urged, "Come on, Mum. One movie ticket costs only 30 cents. To the former Aitsuehua, 30 cents was a considerable sum. It could even be called a fortune. But for Aitsuehua now, it was nothing compared to the 168 yuan they just spent on a plate of French escargot. "All right, let's go." Aitsuehua agreed, laughing. Ni Yang went to buy 2 movie tickets. The cinema was large, but not many people were inside. Half of them were couples who came together. Little Ni Yun was very understanding, completely quiet throughout the movie, attentively watching the big screen as if she understood everything happening. The shooting location of the Shaolin Kid was Guilin. The scenery was very beautiful. Watching the scene of the pig cage dunking, Aitsuehua couldn't help but tear up. Luckily, only that scene was sentimental. The rest of the movie was comparably breezy and humorous. Watching the movie was refreshing both mentally and physically. After the movie, Ni Yang took Aitsuehua to the flower market where they bought some peach, apple, and pear saplings. As they passed a funeral supply store, Aitsuehua said, "Yang, wait outside with Yun Yun." "All right." Ni Yang nodded, reaching out to carry little Ni Yun. Aitsuehua turned and went into the funeral supply store. When she came out again, she had an additional large bag in her hand. Once they were home, Aitsuehua opened the bag. Inside were some paper ingots and spirit money, along with 5 blank spirit tablets. Then Aitsuehua continued, Yang, the Qingming festival is coming soon. We should set up the spirit tablets for your grandparents and the 3 sisters. On the day of the festival, we will burn more paper money for them." Though Aitsuehua was fully aware that she was an abandoned child, she was still raised by her adoptive parents. It was only right to set up spirit tablets. This was the first time Aitsuehua spoke to Ni Yang about the 3 abandoned siblings. Ni Yang responded, "Mom, are you sure I lost all 3 sisters? Even in the countryside, not every abandoned child left in the wilderness dies. They might not have all passed away." At that time, Ni Yang was too young and naive to know where exactly the 3 sisters were abandoned. If they weren't abandoned on the back mountain, there might be a chance that they survived. Ni Quihua's eyes immediately turned red. She choked out the words, "After your 2nd, 3rd, and 4th sisters were discarded, I also secretly searched in the back mountain, but I couldn't find them anywhere. There are so many wolves on the back mountain." Those were 3 unfortunate children born to her, their useless mother. Aitsuehua usually only let her tears flow late at night when everyone else was asleep. But today, she couldn't hold back. As a mother, every time she thought of her 3 unfortunate daughters, her heart ached unbearably. After all, they were her flesh and blood. Ni Yang responded, "Perhaps they weren't abandoned on the back mountain at all. Mom, don't be so pessimistic. For all you know, my 3 sisters might still be alive." Alive? Upon hearing this, Aitsuehua seemed to glimpse at redemption. Could they really be alive? She didn't know. Aitsuehua said, "If your 2nd sister is still alive, she would be 17 this year. The 3rd sister would be 16, and the youngest, the 4th sister, would just turn 12. and I Tsuehua clearly remembered their birth dates. Chapter 338. Teach the scum a lesson, be the matchmaker _5. She only despised herself for being too weak, for failing to protect her own children. She let them be born unwanted by anyone. And I Yang said, "Mom, don't be upset. Our 3 younger sisters, they have their own luck. They'll be fine, perhaps we'll even find them in the future." And Tsuehua wiped away her tears. "I no longer hope to find them. All I wish for is their well-being in this world. Mom, rest assured, our 3 sisters must still be alive, they are all living well." And I Yang embraced Ni Tsuehua. And I Tsuehua sobbed uncontrollably. It started to drizzle on tomb sweeping day. The weather was a tad chilly. The mood matched that poem. During tomb sweeping day, rain trickles down, travelers on the road are filled with sorrow. Ni Yang pulled out a coat from the cupboard to wear again, and followed Ni Tsuehua outside to burn paper money. Because Ni Tsuehua believed her 3 daughters were still alive, she did not prepare spirit tablets for them. She only honored the spirit tablets of her foster parents. Days flew by. In a blink of an eye, half a month had passed. The 2 shops in the city were already renovated. All that's left was for Ni Yang to pick a day to open. Ni Yang chose the 6th day of May. There were still 5 days left before the opening. New shops meant hiring new employees. According to the 3 people per shop standard, Ni Yang still needed to recruit 6 more people. Naturally, these 6 people would be from the village. Ni Yang offered high salaries, so the women in the village were all willing to help Ni Yang. New employees needed to familiarize themselves with the work environment early on, so Ni Yang took them to the milk tea shop and noodle restaurant to help out the very next day. After working for 3 days, the 6 people had all become familiar with their job. Ni Yang then led them to the new shop to prepare for its opening. These 6 people were Lu Chuanfen, Zhao Hui, Lu Chui, Wang Ryu, Sun Xiaoyu, Wang Dongji. They were all honest and humble people who were grateful to Ni Yang. Therefore, Ni Yang felt secure leaving the shop in their hands. The day before the opening, Ni Yang bought some braised meat for everyone to take home. Everyone took their meat home, while Ni Yang stayed in the shop to deal with some minor details. "Yang, is your shop really opening the day after tomorrow?" Zhou Xiaolian, the neighboring shop owner's wife, came over to join the fun. Ni Yang was always enthusiastic and knew how to get along with people. During the renovation, she offered everyone bread and milk tea in consideration of the noise disturbance. This goodwill left everyone with a good impression of her. Ni Yang nodded, "Yes, ma'am." Zhou Xiaolian continued, Yang, you've prepared so many noodles and milk tea, aren't you afraid you won't get enough customers tomorrow? I don't mean to sound negative, but this shop is rather tricky." Ni Yang laughed, "Ma'am, I'm confident that I'll be able to sell everything." After all, Ni Yang didn't believe in the whole feng shui thing. If it really had to do with feng shui, wouldn't all the shops in this row have to close down? Yet she saw other shops doing quite well. Moreover, Ni Yang had spent 3 days doing promotions at the old shop. Ni Yang wasn't worried about her business at all. After all, the noodle restaurant and milk tea shop had already built a substantial reputation in the city's food industry over the past half a year. Several imitators had already emerged in the city, yet none of them could match the taste provided here at Ni Yang's. Therefore, everyone preferred to come to Ni Yang's. Zhou Xiaolian gave Ni Yang a look. Yang, you're still too young. There are things you have to believe in. Why don't you burn some things at the front of the shop to ward off evil? Otherwise, I'm really worried. If there weren't problems with the feng shui of these 2 shops, how is it possible that 3 shops opened in a row and all had to close down? Ma'am, Ni Yang continued, I appreciate your kindness. I'll consider it when I get home. Zhou Xiaolian added, Yang, don't blame me for not warning you if you fail to get any business. Then Zhou Xiaolian changed the topic. By the way, Yang, the person who came with you last time, was that your mother? The one who was also holding a baby? Yes, that's my mother, Ni Yang nodded. Zhou Xiaolian thought about how to phrase the next sentence. Yang, what I'm about to say next might be a bit blunt, but I hope you won't take offense. Ma'am, just say what you have to say. Zhou Xiaolian hesitated. Ni Yang poured Zhou Xiaolian a glass of water. Why don't we sit down and talk? Chapter 339. Teach the scum a lesson, be the matchmaker _6. Zhou Xiaolian took a sip of water and sat face to face with Ni Yang at the dining table, feeling less nervous. Then she continued, I've heard that your mother divorced. Is she currently single? Ni Yang's expression changed slightly. Worried that Ni Yang might misunderstand something, Zhou Xiaolian hurriedly added, Yang, don't worry, I don't mean anything else. I just think it's a pity for your young mother to remain single. Society has changed now, and there are many women who remarry. Auntie, what are you implying? Zhou Xiaolian took another big gulp of water. Yang, let me be straight with you. I have a single man in my family, my cousin. His wife passed away due to complications during childbirth. He has been alone for so many years since then, so I was thinking, then it dawned on Ni Yang what Zhou Xiaolian was there for. Zhou Xiaolian was proposing a marriage match for her mother, Ni Zihua. As she concluded, Zhou Xiaolian continued, Yang, you're a sensible child, you wouldn't mind if your mother found a new partner, right? In fact, finding a new partner is a great idea. Wouldn't it be nice to have an extra person who cares about you in the future? My cousin is a handsome man with good character, currently the manager of a state-owned restaurant. If they were to get married, he would certainly treat you and your little sister as his own daughters. Zhou Xiaolian had seen Ni Zihua in person once before. Despite having 2 children, Ni Zihua still maintained her beautiful looks and youthful charm. She was extremely pretty. Even though the Ni family status was not high and they were self-employed, the 2 shops run by Ni Yang were profitable. If Ni Zihua married her brother in the future, all these would become the Zhou family's assets. Therefore, Ni Zihua was just about a suitable match for her brother. Her brother, not only handsome, also worked at a state-owned enterprise, so many fine young ladies want to marry him. It was Ni Qihua's luck that he took interest in her. Ni Yang replied, Auntie Zhou, this matter isn't up to me, it depends on what my mother thinks. Zhou Xiaolian laughed. Just as long as you aren't opposed to your mother finding a partner, then I can rest assured. How about you choose a date for my cousin to meet your mother? Just a harmless meeting, whatever happens after doesn't matter and wouldn't affect anything. Ni Yang replied, Auntie, I need to discuss this matter with my mother when I get home. If she agrees, then I have no objections. Very good, Zhou Xiaolian stood up laughing. That's settled then, Yang. When you get home, you must discuss it with your mother. It's not easy for a woman with 2 children to be out there on her own. Without a man to make decisions, you will get bullied in the village. Once your mother and my brother's matter is settled, you can move from the countryside to my brother's townhouse in the city. At that point we'll all be family. According to our relationship, you should call me aunt. Evidently, Zhou Xiaolian was becoming happy prematurely, before anything was settled. Because she thought, it is Ni Zihua who would be marrying up by marrying her brother. After all, Ni Zihua lacks education and carries 2 burdens, whereas her brother not only completed junior high school but is also a manager. Only a fool would refuse such an offer. Everything Zhou Xiaolian said carried a sense of superiority, which made Ni Yang feel uncomfortable. Even before Ni Zihua married into their family, Zhou Xiaolian was already behaving like this. If the marriage happens, life wouldn't likely be any easier. Not only was Ni Yang not opposed to Ni Zihua finding a new partner, she wished for her mother's happiness above all else. An ideal marriage is built on mutual respect. Clearly, Zhou Xiaolian's brother could not offer this kind of respect. Ni Yang frowned unnoticeably. Auntie, you've been overthinking this. The people in our village are all very kind and united, and they take good care of our family. No one in the village will bully us. Zhou Xiaolian warned earnestly, Yang, you need to be cautious then. Those who don't have a relationship with you but treat you guys so well must be after something. Out of the blue, they could be treating Ni Yang and her mother so nicely? After all, Ni Yang's noodle restaurant and milk tea shop have made a lot of money. Ni Yang responded matter-of-factly, Thank you for your concern, Auntie, but I am capable of discerning right from wrong. Unhappy at the response, Zhou Xiaolian felt somewhat annoyed. She believed Ni Yang was being ungrateful. Ni Yang had this kind of attitude when she was trying to help her in good faith. If it were not for the money that will soon be owned by her brother, she would not bother to give advice. Forget it. Why should she bother about a junior's matters? Perhaps it was unintentional from Ni Yang. With an unchanged smile on her face, Zhou Xiaolian continued, Yang, then let's leave it at that. Do remember to tell your mother when you go home. I will head back now. Ni Yang stood up to see her out. Goodbye, Auntie. After leaving the noodle restaurant, Ni Yang made a trip to the vegetable market. Sister. This time, Ni Yang met the little flower girl from half a month ago again. No noticeable changes in the little girl after half a month, even her clothes remained unchanged. Her face was dirty, but her big eyes were still sparkling clear. Sister, are you going to buy flowers today? Ni Yang squatted down to be at the girl's height. Little sister, how old are you this year? 12. Qian Zhaodi replied. 12. For some reason, Ni Yang suddenly remembered her abandoned fourth sister. If the fourth sister was still around, she would be 12 this year too. Ni Yang asked, Where are your parents? Qian Zhaodi responded, They are at home. Do you have any sisters or brothers? Qian Zhaodi shook her head. No sisters, just one younger brother. Ni Yang asked again, Does your brother sell flowers too? No. Qian Zhaodi continued to shake her head. My parents both love my brother a lot. They often hit me if I don't sell these flowers, they might kill me. Sister, please buy one, please. Looking at Qian Zhaodi, Ni Yang suddenly felt like crying. She felt a pang in her nose. It's because she relates too well to the powerless feeling of being born into a family that favors sons over daughters. In her previous life, and this live's sisters, they have all suffered from this bias. How many flowers do you have left? I'll buy them all. Really? Qian Zhaodi's eyes lit up. Yes. Qian Zhaodi continued, Sister, I've got 30 flowers left. Ni Yang took out 5 yuan and handed it to Qian Zhaodi. Here is 5 yuan. No need to give me any change. From now on, you can wait for me here every night. So, sister, you will buy my flowers every night? Ni Yang nodded, then asked, What happened to your face? Qian Zhaodi replied nonchalantly, My brother poured boiling water on it. Chapter 340, Grand Opening, Li Yanren's invitation _1 burned by boiling water? Upon hearing this, Ni Yang's heart clenched tightly. What kind of family would allow their son to scald their daughter's face? Did it hurt? Ni Yang asked. Qian Zhaodi shook her head. It hurt at first, but then it stopped. She had suffered so much at such a young age, this pain was nothing in comparison. Ni Yang let out a soft sigh and handed her the braised pork she had just bought. Take this. The aroma of the braised pork seemed to permeate into Qian Zhaodi's nostrils as she gulped. Sister, is this meat? Ni Yang nodded. Yes, it's meat. Sister, are you giving me all this meat? Qian Zhaodi asked, somewhat uncertain. Thank you, sister. A smile bloomed at the corner of Qian Zhaodi's mouth. Don't mention it. Ni Yang reached out to caress her head. By the way, little sister, what's your name? My name is Qian Zhaodi. Qian Zhaodi. Just from her name, one could tell how much her parents devalued girls in favor of boys. Sister, what's your name? Qian Zhaodi then asked. My name is Ni Yang. Qian Zhaodi smiled and said, Sister, your name is really beautiful. Thank you. Ni Yang continued, Little sister, do you go to school? No. Qian Zhaodi shook her head, but even though I've never been to school, I know a lot of characters and I can even write my name. There was a primary school in the village and Qian Zhaodi would always sneak up to the windows to listen to the teacher's lectures. The children in the classroom would be absent-minded, but Qian Zhaodi was thirsting for knowledge. Seeing that it was getting late, Qian Zhaodi continued, Sister, thank you for the pork. I have to go home now. I'll wait for you here again tomorrow night. Go ahead. Ni Yang waved to her, Be careful on the road. Returning to her secret hideout, Qian Zhaodi pulled out the money hidden in the gaps between the bricks and started counting. Adding the 5 yuan that Ni Yang just gave her, her total savings now amounted to 10 yuan and 3 cents. She had already checked. It cost 28 yuan for a train ticket to the neighboring city. She was still 18 yuan short. On top of that, she would need to live in the neighboring city. By her calculations, she would need at least 100 yuan. She was still far from her goal. Thinking about this, Qian Zhaodi let out a sigh, put the money away, left her hideout, sat at the entrance of the alley, and began to devour the braised pork that Ni Yang had given her. Never in her life had Qian Zhaodi felt so satisfied eating meat. She was rarely even afforded basic porridge or rice. Just then, a happy family of 4 passed by, chatting and laughing. Watching them, her eyes welled up with tears. If she could, she too would like to have a pair of kind parents, a cute little brother. They wouldn't even have to treat her well, just as long as they didn't hit or scold her like a normal family. What a pity! This wish would never come true in this lifetime. After eating, she wiped her mouth and limped her way home. After going on home, Ni Yang found a bottle to house the camellia, placed it on the coffee table in the living room. The radiant camellia formed a beautiful vista in the living room, filling the air with a faint fragrance. It smelled marvelous. Having finished that, Ni Yang started cooking with Ni Zihua tending the fire under the stove. Little Ni Yun was busy playing in a baby carrier, very well behaved. Mom. What's the matter? Choosing her words carefully, Ni Yang continued, Mom, have you ever thought about finding an uncle for Yun Yun and me? Zhou Xiaolian's words from earlier had reminded Ni Yang of something. Ni Zihua was only 37, her life ahead still vast. She couldn't remain single forever. The company of her children and a partner were different. Ni Zihua was taken aback at first, then said, What are you talking about, child? Your mom's old. If someone hurt us, wouldn't it be a joke? Remarriage was something Ni Zihua dare not even think about. Ni Yang said, Mom, you're only 37, not 67 or 77. Remarrying is completely normal, right? Don't worry, I'm understanding, I'm not an unreasonable child. At this point, Ni Yang changed her tone and said seriously, Mom, I genuinely hope you can find happiness. Chapter 341 Grand Opening, Li Yanren's Invitation _2. At the sound of this, Ni Zihua fell momentarily silent. She was fortunate to have such a thoughtful daughter. In other families, when one parent is gone, it's typically hard for children to accept the prospect of a parent remarrying because they often fear that a stepfather or stepmother may not treat them well. Yet, Ni Yang seemed completely indifferent to this and even voluntarily brought up the matter. Ni Zihua continued, Yang, Mom appreciates your concern, but I really haven't given any thought to these things. Your younger sister is still little. Let's revisit this topic when she's a bit older. Ni Yang's career was currently flourishing, and little Ni Yun was only 9 months old. Ni Zihua genuinely had no energy to contemplate such messy matters. She should make the most of her opportunity to assist Ni Yang. How could she pursue romance when her daughter is busy and working so hard? Ni Yang added, Mom, Aunt Zhou Xiaolian mentioned to me today that she has a single brother. From what she said, he seems not bad. Would you like to meet him? Though Ni Yang had some reservations about Zhou Xiaolian's brother, she felt it was nevertheless necessary to discuss this with Ni Zihua. After all, it would be up to Ni Zihua to pick her partner. No need. Ni Zihua refused without hesitation. Ni Yang gave a nod. Okay, I respect your decision. In fact, I also think Zhou Xiaolian's brother doesn't quite seem right. When we encounter an outstanding middle-aged man in the future, I'll definitely keep my eyes open for you. Mom, you should keep your spirits up. Upon hearing this, a momentary blush darted across Ni Qihua's face. What are you saying, you silly girl? Not long after, Ni Yang finished cooking 4 dishes. The main course for the night was green bean and lotus leaf porridge. Modern medical research has shown that lotus leaves have beneficial properties such as lowering blood pressure, reducing blood lipids, relieving heat, suppressing bacteria, relieving spasms, and reducing fat. The combination of lotus leaves and green beans is particularly effective for weight loss and body sculpting. It's not sufficient to focus solely on breast enlargement. One needs to attain a perfect body proportion. Ni Yang currently has a great body proportion, and she needs to maintain it. The side dish was mapo tofu. She heated the rapeseed oil, added scallion, ginger, and garlic until fragrant, then added bean paste until the oil turned red. Next, she added spicy hot capsicum, Sichuan pepper, and chili powder. Finally, she tossed in tofu that had been blanched in boiling water. In no time, a mouth-watering aroma of spicy and numbing mapo tofu filled the room. The spicy and numbing sensation was irresistible. With this bowl of mapo tofu, one could consume several bowls of green bean and lotus leaf porridge. Furthermore, tofu has the property of boosting metabolism, which can contribute to longevity. Next, she prepared sautéed lamb liver with eel. Eel contains components such as vitamin A and lecithin, all of which are beneficial to hormonal secretion and essential for breast development. Therefore, during puberty, it's crucial for girls to consume more eel to achieve breast enlargement. Winter melon stew with black fish. The combination of black fish and winter melon has great blood circulation promoting and liver and kidney nourishing effects, making it a particularly beneficial dish for women. The final side dish was spicy pickled cowpeas. For dinner, there were 3 stir-fried dishes and a pickled dish, which made for a highly satisfying meal for the 3 of them. The next day, just as Ni Yang arrived at her shop, Zhou Xiaoyan showed up. Yang, did you tell your mom about what we discussed yesterday? I did. Ni Yang replied honestly, but my mom isn't currently considering anything in that regard. Auntie, thank you for your kindness, but it seems that there's no destined connection between your brother and my mom. Was this a rejection? Zhou Xiaoyan looked at Ni Yang, somewhat incredulous. With such great prospects, how could Ni Yang refuse her brother? Could it be that Ni Yang felt superior because she owned a few shops and looked down on her brother? What did ownership of a few shops amount to? A petty proprietor could never compare to her brother, who was a higher-ranking official. Or could it be that Ni Yang didn't tell Ni Tsuehua about this at all? That must be it. This seemingly sensible girl was far more cunning than she appeared. Afraid that her mother might treat her badly after getting married, she decided to deceive them all. With a smile remaining on her face, Zhou Xiaoyan said, "All right, I understand. You'll be heading back then. Take care, Auntie." The moment Zhou Xiaoyan returned to her shop, her husband, Li Yinxing, came out to meet her. "How did it go? Did you arrange everything?" Zhou Xiaoyan shook her head. Li Yinxing said, "I told you earlier, don't harbor unrealistic hopes. With the income her shop brings in each month, do you think she would consider your brother?" With that, Li Yinxing showed 2 fingers to signify a monetary amount. Chapter 342, Grand Opening, Li Yanren's Invitation _3. Zhou Xiaoyan continued, "It's not an issue with the women per se, but entirely with that girl Ni Yang. I believe Ni Yang hasn't even talked to her mother about this. Plus, I wouldn't introduce her to my brother if she couldn't earn some money in a month." Besides considering her elder brother's interest, Zhou Xiaoyan had her own ulterior motives. After all, everyone is inherently selfish. She coveted Ni Yang's recipe. The recipe for pickled fish noodles and milk tea. Once her brother marries Ni Zihua, she and Ni Yang would become part of the same family, and naturally, there would be no secrets. Once she has the recipes for pickled fish and milk tea, she would just need to sit at home and collect money. "All right, enough with the nonsense." Li Yinxing said impatiently, "Your brother isn't lacking in potential brides. Why are you so concerned for him?" "I'm his sister, how can I not worry?" Zhou Xiaoyan glared at Li Yinxing. "I need to go to my mother. And you stay here and look after the shop." Li Yinxing could only shake his head helplessly. Zhou Xiaoyan went straight back to her parents' house. Her family was well off. Both her parents were retired directors of a factory. Although her only brother was devoid of a wife, he had a good job, a dependable livelihood, a high salary, and often had some extra perks. This was why so many eligible women were willing to marry him. After hearing Zhou Xiaolian's plan, her mother, Ji Muden, fussed. "What kind of joke is this? There are so many young ladies ready to marry your brother, and he doesn't need them. You're introducing a widow with 2 children to him. Xiaoyan, don't you care about your brother anymore?" Given that her son was accomplished, Ji Muden, as a mother, felt proud. Moreover, they came from a family of salaried employees. How could they marry a self-employed woman? Zhou Xiaoyan smiled and said, "Mom, don't look down on self-employed people. The woman I want to introduce to my brother owns 4 shops. She earns at least 20,000 yuan a month. When combined, your dad's and brother's income is still less than what she earns in a month, isn't it? 20,000? That's over 200,000 a year." Ji Muden was a bit shocked but still retorted, "What does it matter how much money she earns? Our family doesn't lack money." While the Zhou family was not immensely rich, they were not short of money either. Zhou Xiaoyan continued, "With more money, future kids could study abroad, we could move to a bigger house, hire a few nannies to serve you. Doesn't that sound good?" Ji Muden seemed slightly tempted at this. "What you said seems somewhat reasonable. What does this woman look like?" Zhou Xiaoyan responded, "Her looks leave nothing to be desired. How about you come with me tomorrow and see for yourself?" "All right." Ji Muden nodded. Even though Ni Yang had already declined this meeting, Zhou Xiaoyan still wouldn't give up. Ni Yang's noodle restaurant and milk tea shop would open tomorrow, and Ni Zihua, her mother, would certainly appear. By then, they would definitely see Ni Zihua. Zhou Xiaoyan felt that as long as she could convince Ji Muden, her acquiescent brother, who always listened to his mother's words, wouldn't be a problem. As for Ni Zihua, she saw no obstacle there. With her brother's great conditions, only a fool would object. She didn't think Ni Zihua was a fool. After settling things with Ji Muden, Zhou Xiaoyan returned home satisfied. The next day, Ni Yang went to the noodle restaurant early in the morning. Just as she arrived, she saw workers laying out red carpets and arranging flowers in front of the noodle restaurant and milk tea shop. Could it be that Mo Qishan had returned? Ni Yang raised her eyebrows slightly. Other than Mo Qishan, no one else would give her these things. Just as she thought this, Wu Daming ran over from the side. "Sister Yen, oh no! Sister-in-law, you're here." Wu Daming. Ni Yang looked at the man in surprise. Wu Daming said, "Sister-in-law, my 6th bro isn't in the country, so he couldn't come here in person. He asked me to bring these things." 6th sister-in-law? This address made Ni Yang's cheeks flush slightly. You have to admit, Mo Qishan really is a qualified boyfriend. "Thank you. By the way, when will brother Mo probably return?" "If you calculate, Mo Qishan has been out for about a month now." Wu Daming, this straight man, directly replied, "Sister-in-law, do you miss my 6th bro?" Ni Yang. How should she respond to that? Wu Daming continued, "Also, sister-in-law, I've received the sterile equipment you asked about last time. When do you want it?" Chapter 343, Grand Opening, Li Yanren's Invitation _4. At this time, all of the sterile equipment was imported from abroad. Ni Yang didn't expect Wu Daming would get the goods in such a short period of time. That was quite a feat. Ni Yang thought for a moment and then said, "Probably around June or July. Can you temporarily store it on your end?" "Sure, of course. My place is big enough." Wu Daming quickly nodded and casually glanced at his wristwatch. "Sister-in-law, I will have it delivered to you at the end of June." If he dared to say it was inconvenient, Mo Qishan would definitely give him a taste of hell when he got back. Ni Yang nodded. "Then he'll have to trouble you. By the way, how much does this equipment cost?" "No trouble at all, not at all. It's an honor for me to be of service to you, sis-in-law. This set of equipment costs a total of 2,000 yuan. "All right." Wu Daming then said, "Sis-in-law, while my brother isn't in Beijing, if you encounter any trouble, you can contact me at any time. Here is my number." After he said that, Wu Daming gave Ni Yang a small note. "All right, thank you." Wu Daming looked at his watch and said, "We're all family here, sis-in-law. You don't have to be so polite with me. If nothing else, I should go now." Mo Qishan had made it clear, under any non-urgent circumstances, he was not to spend more than 15 minutes with Ni Yang. It's already been 12 minutes, he should make his leave. Just as Wu Daming left, Li Yanran, who was holding 2 paintings, came over. Yang. In a few days, it was the grand opening of Ni Yang's branch. As her good friend, she naturally had to come and show support. Yanran. Yang. Li Yanran handed Ni Yang a gold-framed painting. "I'm gifting you this 4 seasons of prosperity. May your business prosper and bring you wealthy profits." Ni Yang accepted it. "Thank you, Yanran." Li Yanran said with a smile, "We're good friends, so don't mention it. Let's go hang it in the shop." "All right." Ni Yang nodded, leading Li Yanran inside. Li Yanran looked at the decor of the milk tea shop. All admiration was on her face. "Yang, your milk tea shop is beautifully decorated." The entrance was made of glass, wooden flooring. Each table had some small green plants decorating it. It looked entirely fresh and natural, inexplicably improving one's mood and giving off a foreign vibe. Needless to say, Ni Yang really did have a touch of grace. Ni Yang placed a cup of milk tea in front of Li Yanran, smiling. "Thank you for the compliment." Li Yanran took a big sip of the milk tea and then said, "This Saturday, I'm hosting a party at my place. I'd like to invite you to join." "Sure." Ni Yang nodded without hesitation. Given Li Yanran's treatment of her as a friend, she naturally wouldn't decline her friend's kind invitation. "Great." Li Yanran held her milk tea in one hand and clung to Ni Yang's arm with the other. "Remember to come, okay?" Ni Yang smiled and said, "Don't worry, Yanran, I always keep my promises." Li Yanran continued, "Then I'll wait for you at home this Saturday." Originally, Li Yanran wanted to remind Ni Yang to dress up a bit, but after thinking about it, with Ni Yang's natural beauty, she wouldn't even need to. She would be the most dazzling presence regardless. At 6 in the morning, coupled with the sound of firecrackers, the milk tea shop and noodle restaurant officially opened. The merchants who were prepared to watch the hype were all startled. The milk tea shop and noodle restaurant Ni Yang ran, contrary to expectations, were not deserted but quite busy instead. They even had a customer queue. What happened to the anticipated bad feng shui for these two businesses? Where was the guarantee that these two shops would shut down after Ni Yang took over? An elder who had previously advised Ni Yang against buying the two shops, holding on to his crutch, said, "This is weird. I've lived a whole life, have never seen such an odd thing. Could it really be that this young girl's life is harder than the heavens decree? Even feng shui couldn't impact her?" Zhou Xiaoyan and Ji Muden also stood within the curious crowd. Ji Muden impatiently said, "We've been standing here for so long. Which one is that widow you spoke of?" Zhou Xiaoyan looked at the long queue, full of envy. If only all these customers were hers. No, she must move quickly on settling this marriage proposal. Zhou Xiaoyan frowned and said, "Please don't refer to her as widow all the time. It sounds so crude. She's going to be your daughter-in-law." Ji Muden scoffed, "Xiaoyan, don't jump to conclusions. Whether she can become a part of the Zhou family all depends on my judgment. Remember, I am not the type of person who would bow down for the sake of 3 pecks of rice." Chapter 344, Grand Opening, Li Yanran's Invitation _5. People in leadership positions always have an air of arrogance about them, let alone the Ji Muden family, where almost everyone is a small-time leader. Just then, Zhou Xiaolian's eyes lit up as she pointed towards the side of the road, exclaiming, "Here she comes. Look, that's Ni Yang's mother. Doesn't she look quite decent?" "Which one?" Zhou Xiaoyan continued, "The one in the blue jacket, carrying a child." "She still has such a small child?" Ji Muden frowned. No, I cannot approve of this marriage. You're not seriously suggesting that your brother should raise someone else's child, Xiaoyan?" Zhou Xiaoyan chuckled. "Don't worry, they're wealthy. They won't need my brother to raise their kid. Mom, don't you think she's quite attractive?" Ji Muden scrutinized the woman carefully, then announced, "She looks just like a vixen. Women like that can't handle a proper household." A flabbergasted Zhou Xiaoyan asked, "Mom, how do you know she can't handle a household?" Ji Muden responded, "Just look at how colorful her clothes are. How many widows do you see dressed like that?" There wasn't a man left in the house, yet she failed to pay attention to her dressing style. In any case, Ji Muden did not approve of this potential daughter-in-law. Zhou Xiaoyan carried on, "But they're rich, So what if they are? Besides, earning 20,000 yuan a month isn't much. For someone of your brother's caliber, finding a woman who earns 20,000 yuan a month is child's play. Zhou Xiaoyan had been mentally rolling her eyes countless times. This old lady compared 20,000 yuan to 20 yuan as if it was nothing. It's like she thinks the Zhou family has their own golden mountain. Though her brother was quite eligible, finding a woman who earns 20,000 yuan a month and also looks decent was not as easy as she made it out to be. The more Ji Mutant looked at Anatihua, the more she found her disagreeable, her brows furrowing tightly. Mom, she's actually a very decent person. Should I invite her over for a chat? Zhou Xiaoyan wasn't ready to give up yet. Go ahead. Ji Mutant eventually relented, unable to resist the allure of the 20,000 yuan. Walking up to Anatihua, Zhou Xiaoyan warmly greeted her. Big sister, congratulations. Yang surely made you proud. Anatihua smiled and replied, thank you. Zhou Xiaoyan took Anaihua's arm. Come, big sister, let's go chat over there. As Anatihua neared, Ji Mutant adjusted her clothes and hair, appearing ready to play the part of a mother-in-law scrutinizing her would-be daughter-in-law. For this encounter, Ji Mutant had specifically chosen to wear her finest clothes, looking to outshine her potential adversary. Big sister, this is my mother. Zhou Xiaoyan brought her along to Ji Mutant. While maintaining her composure, Ji Mutant looked Anatihua up and down. Despite Anatihua being wealthy, the Zhou family was a working-class household, so in terms of social status, Anatihua was marrying up. Hello, madam. Anatihua politely greeted her. Madam? Ji Mutant subtly wrinkled her brow. Goodness, what an outdated formality. Wasn't this only used by rural people? How could the Zhou family allow such a woman to marry into their home? Like a stern school principal, Ji Mutant asked, what's your name? How old are you? Anatihua furrowed her brows slightly. What was this old woman trying to imply? Who begins a conversation by asking such questions? With a hint of apology, Anatihua replied, I'm sorry, but I need to return to the shop. Leave now. Once she finished speaking, Anatihua, cradling little Yun, took her leave. Ji Mutant was so enraged, she was practically hopping mad. What kind of attitude is that? Is that how she plans to treat her future mother-in-law? Giving me the cold shoulder even before she's married in. God knows what'll happen once they're married. A speechless Zhou Xiaoyan replied, Mom, you have to admit that you were out of line just now. Why did you even start off with such questions? You could have gone about it more subtly. People like her don't deserve to step through the doors of the Zhou family. Just because she has a little money, she thinks she's something special. Ji Mutant had a deep disdain for the rich. Zhou Xiaoyan continued, Mom, please calm down. Things aren't as bad as you're making it out to be. Let me go talk to her. We haven't even married her into the family yet. You can start teaching her once they're married and have their certificate. Then she'll be all yours to deal with. Zhou Xiaoyan caught up to Anatihua and quickly apologized. Big sister, I'm sorry about my mother. She was a bit abrupt just now, but please don't take it to heart. Hey Race, what's going on? You see, I have a brother. Chapter 345. Grand Opening, Li Yanren's Invitation _6. Zhou Xiaoyan was afraid that Yang hadn't told Anatihua about the matter, so she explained it all over again, and specially boasted about how capable her brother was, and that they were all from working families. Anatihua replied, Big sister, thank you for your kindness. But I was born a peasant woman, I'm afraid I'm not match for your brother. Besides, I have no plans to remarry right now. Zhou Xiaoyan didn't get the rejection in Anaihua's words, and hastily said, You are a match, a perfect match. As the old saying goes, when marrying, marry a virtuous wife. Big sister, even though your personal condition is not as good as my brother's, I can tell you are quite virtuous. It's good that Anatihua knows her worth and realizes she's not a match for her brother. Anatihua continued, I'm sorry, big sister, you should go find someone else. Zhou Xiaoyan continued, Big sister, you don't need to worry about other issues. My mother may have a foul mouth, but she means well. Once you married into our family, Just sit and enjoy your blessings. Anai Zihua found Zhou Xiaoyan to be too persistent, so she said bluntly, Big sister, let me tell you the truth, I have no plans to remarry. After that, Anai Zihua turned and went into the shop. This time, Zhou Xiaoyan understood what Anai Zihua meant. So she thinks her brother is not good enough? What a big appetite. A widow who nobody wanted, and she's still so picky. She really thinks she can marry into a good family. Zhou Xiaoyan walked back to Ji Muden with a complex expression. Ji Muden said, Xiaoyan, let me make it clear to you. Firstly, I absolutely will not coax her. Secondly, I must make her apologize for her attitude just now. Otherwise, she can forget about marrying into our Zhou family in this lifetime. Zhou Xiaoyan was also furious. She retorted, You don't allow her to marry in our family? She might not even want our family. What? Ji Muden widened her eyes in disbelief. She's picky about our family? Does she know what a working family is? Zhou Xiaoyan sighed. Mother, it's not about whether you accept her or not now. Forget it, no use talking more. Anyway, there's absolutely no hope for this matter. Ji Muden was furious upon hearing that Anai Zihua didn't fancy her son. I was the one who didn't fancy her first. Just a widow, can't my son find whatever kind of girl he wants? I'm sure that woman is just pretending she doesn't like us because she's afraid of losing face. Ji Muden muttered angrily. She almost cursed Anai Qihua's ancestors. Just then, Zhou Xiaoyan saw something. Mother, isn't that my aunt? In the distance, a young man and a woman were helping an older woman with white hair towards Ni Yang's noodle restaurant. Ji Muden immediately stopped muttering and looked over. It is your aunt. Let's go over and say hello. Ji Muden changed her condescending attitude and became overly kind and affable as she walked to the trio. Isn't this my little aunt? What brings you here? Xiaolian's shop is just nearby. I hope you, Xiaoxiu, and Cici can come and sit. Zhou Xiaoyan followed behind her and said, Aunt, I haven't seen you for years, and Xiaoxiu and Cici too. Since you're here today, you must dine at my place before you leave. With the mother and daughter being so enthusiastic, everyone could tell that this old lady was not an ordinary person. In fact, the old lady was indeed extraordinary. This old lady was the mother of Shangguan Dehui, and the grandmother of Shangguan Su and Shangguan Shi. The Shangguan family was just like the Mo family. Both were prestigious families that had stood for centuries. Shangguan's old lady squinted slightly. I'm sorry, as one grows old, the memory is not as good as before. May I ask who you are? The Zhou family and the Shangguan family were at best distant relatives. This distant relationship traced back to the sister of Shangguan's old lady, whose son's wife's cousin's sister-in-law's daughter was related. So, it was normal that the old lady didn't recognize Ji Muden and her daughter. Ji Muden introduced herself formally. Listening from the side, Shangguan Su was afraid that Ji Muden would suffocate from talking too much without being able to catch her breath. Such a distant relationship, and they still dared to recognize relatives randomly, how audacious. Indeed, poor people in a bustling city find no one paying attention to them, while the rich in the remote mountains have distant relatives. After listening for half a day, Shangguan's old lady still couldn't figure out what relationship Ji Muden and her daughter had with their family. She turned her head and looked at Shangguan Su. Little Cici, let's hurry up and get in line. I'm telling you, the noodles at this place are really delicious. She had seen too many people recognizing relatives out of nowhere, like the people in front of her. The three of them walked towards the noodle restaurant. Ji Muden stepped forward and said, Little aunt, noodles are not nutritious. Why don't we go to Xiaolian's shop, let her cook something delicious and serve you properly? Zhou Xiaoyan quickly added, Yes, auntie, let me cook something yummy, to serve you properly. The Shangguan family was a true prestigious family. Who wouldn't want to be related to them? Otherwise, would Ji Muden be so humble? Ever since she became a leader, Ji Muden had never bent over. Today was the first. Shangguan's old lady calmly said, The two of you, I am not your aunt. I do not know you, please do not follow us anymore. After saying that, the three of them went directly into the noodle restaurant and started lining up. Ji Muden sighed, The old lady of such a big family is indeed different. She's already so old, yet her mind is still so sharp. If Shangguan's old lattice mind could be a little more muddled, maybe today she could have recognized her as her niece. There were many people eating in the restaurant. Shangguan, she said, "Grandma, brother, you line up here, they'll go next door to buy milk tea. Brother, do you want fully sweetened or half-sweetened?" Shangguan Su didn't understand what full or half-sweet meant for a moment. Shangguan, she explained, "You like it sweeter or milder?" Shangguan Su said, "Half-sweetened is fine." "Cici, I want a sweeter one." Shangguan's old lady looked at Shangguan Shi pitifully. Shangguan Shi was quite determined. "Grandma, doctor he said you have to eat less sweet." Chapter 346. The lovely Mrs. Shangguan heavily mistreats the family of Qian Zhaodi under Skirwan. Why can't I eat sweets anymore? Elderly Madame Shangguan became worried as soon as she heard she couldn't have sweets anymore. "Granny, you have diabetes, so eating too many sweets is bad for your health." Elderly Madame Shangguan started to play dumb in order to eat sweets. "Since when do I have diabetes? I don't remember having diabetes at all. I don't care, I want to drink something sweet." Old baby, once you grow old, you revert to being a child. Shangguan Shi, feeling helpless, said, "Granny, have you forgotten what the doctor told you? If you eat too much sugar, it will make your condition worse." Those damn idiots only know how to exaggerate the dangers. Elderly Madame Shangguan grumbled unhappily, "I've been eating sugar all my life, and now that I'm old, they suddenly won't let me eat any." This year, elderly Madame Shangguan is already 88 years old. Apart from a slight case of diabetes, she's still robust. "Cici, your grandmother's good grandson, will you let me have something sweet to drink?" Elderly Madame Shangguan held onto Shangguan Zai's clothing, begging for sweet food with a childish charm. "Just once," Granny promises, "only once, and Granny swears it." Elderly Madame Shangguan raised 3 of her fingers. "Granny, it doesn't matter if you swear 5 times, you really can't eat anything too sweet." Elderly Madame Shangguan grunted lightly, "Are you still Granny's good grandson?" Shangguan Shi smiled and said, "Granny, I'm going to get you milk tea now." Elderly Madame Shangguan proudly lifted her face, ignoring Shangguan Shi completely. Although there's a line waiting for milk tea as well, the speed at which the cups are served is much faster than for noodles, so Shangguan Shi quickly returned with 3 cups of milk tea. "Granny, this is yours, this is my brother's. This one's mine." Elderly Madame Shangguan pointed at Shangguan Zai's cup and said, "Young fellow, I want to drink this one." "No," Shangguan Shi shook his head, "this one's mine, mine is full sugar." "Why is yours full sugar and mine half sugar?" Shangguan Shi with a helpless tone, "Granny, you need to listen to the doctor's advice." Elderly Madame Shangguan was indignant. "I've never listened to anyone in my life, not even your grandfather. Why should I listen to that brat doctor?" Shangguan Shi quickly inserted the straw into his cup and drank a large gulp of milk tea. "I've already had a sip, Granny, do you still want it?" Elderly Madame Shangguan distastefully, "Who wants your leftovers? I have my own." The trio had been in line for a while. Their cups of milk tea were almost finished by the time they got to their seats. "What would you all like to eat?" A soft, familiar voice came from above. That voice seemed vaguely familiar. Shangguan Su looked up and saw a familiar face. "Anai Yang? Is that you?" "Mr. Shangguan." Anai Yang gave a soft smile. Shangguan Shi and elderly Madame Shangguan both looked at Anai Yang with awe in their eyes. "My goodness! This young lady is too beautiful." Elderly Madame Shangguan felt she was more lovely than Change from the stories. Shangguan Zai's gaze swung from Shangguan Su to Anai Yang and back. A faint smile played at the corners of her mouth. There aren't many people who can prompt her brother to initiate a greeting. Shangguan Su asked promptly, "Is this noodle restaurant yours?" "Yes." Anai Yang nodded. No wonder Anai Yang could have savings close to 6 figures in the bank. Shangguan Su then ordered, "Would like 2 bowls of pickled vegetable noodles and 1 bowl of beef noodles, along with a plate of Kanto stew." The beef noodles and Kanto stew are both new items on the menu. Anai Yang nodded, "Okay." Elderly Madame Shangguan looked at Enai Yang, then spoke gently, "Young lady, I would like my pickled vegetable noodles to be spicy, and the Kanto stew should be on the spicier side as well. This young lady is becoming more lovely the more I look at her, like a blooming flower." Shangguan Shi immediately protested, "Granny, you can't eat anything too spicy." "Sister, don't listen to my granny, we will take everything with normal flavors." Elderly Madame Shangguan immediately started to act the drama queen. "They won't let me have sweets, now they won't let me eat spicy foods. What's the point of living as an old woman like me?" Enai Yang smiled and said, "Chilies are rich in vitamins A, B, C, E, K, and also carotene, folic acid, and so on. A moderate intake of chili can help the body expel toxins, speed up metabolism, increase sweating, adjust body functions, and can also have a detoxifying effect. Moreover, it can help to extend one's life. Granny, don't worry, I will adjust the level of chili for you according to your health condition." Chapter 347. The lovely Mrs. Shangguan heavily mistreats the family of Qian Zhaodi_2. Enai Yang's remarks completely astonished the 3 generations at the table. Ordinary people wouldn't know so much about chili peppers. Chili peppers are a very common vegetable in daily life, and people only know that they're spicy and appetizing. Other than doctors and nutritionists, few people are aware of its numerous benefits. If she understands even chili peppers so clearly, just how vast is her knowledge? After witnessing Enai Yang's fluent French, Shangguan Su was astounded by her for the second time. She resembled the calm, placid deep sea. You'd never know what treasures lay beneath the surface, each revelation bringing a unique surprise. "Young lady, you're impressive," sparks practically twinkled in the old lady Shangguan's eyes. "You outshine my 2 turtle-like grandkids by a mile. I like you." Old Madame Shangguan was a very cute old lady. To her, all people are equal, and she didn't look down on individual practitioners, nor would she discriminate against anyone because of their occupations. Enai Yang smiled gently. "You're too kind, ma'am." After settling on the food order, Enai Yang went to take orders from the other tables. Old Madame Shangguan looked at Shangguan Su slyly. "Xiaoxiu, what is the name of this young lady?" "Enai Yang," Shangguan Su explained, "Enai as a single person, and yang like smoke rising from warm jade under the sun. Lan Tian jade is a type of pale blue jade with a hint of light green. When sunlight shines upon it, a hazy blue mist arises akin to smoke, creating an ethereal landscape." Shangguan Shi exclaimed, "Wow! What a beautiful name! Truly, her name matches her." Old Madame Shangguan continued, "How many people are in the young lattice family? How old is she this year?" Tongue-tied, Shangguan Su retorted, "Are you the director of the Family Planning Bureau doing a census?" Old Madame Shangguan sighed, "How can such a pretty girl not be my granddaughter? If she were my granddaughter, I'd go into the temple to burn incense every day." Shangguan Su, Shangguan Shi, is it really okay for you to disdain your own grandchildren like this? Soon, Enai Yang brought over 3 bowls of noodles and a portion of Kanto stew. "It smells so good." Old Madame Shangguan rubbed her hands together impatiently. "Careful, it's hot. This is your complimentary dish." "Okay, thank you, young lady." Old Madame Shangguan continued, "Young lady, I heard others calling you Yang Yang, may I call you that as well?" Old Madame Shangguan had her own plans and naturally wanted to get on good terms with Enai Yang. Moreover, she genuinely liked Enai Yang. Enai Yang nodded, "Of course." Old Madame Shangguan smiled, "Yang Yang, thank you for putting up with an old woman like me. Then I'll call you Yang Yang too." Shangguan Shi introduced herself cheerfully, "Yang Yang, my name is Shangguan Shi, and Shangguan Su is my brother. Just call me Cici." Enai Yang being straightforward responded, "Cici." Shangguan Su, going by this trend, shouldn't Enai Yang call him Xiu? But before Enai Yang got to call him Xiu, she went off to take orders for other tables. Old Madame Shangguan stirred her bowl. "This is my first time eating beef noodles. You guys should try the pickled vegetable noodles, they're really delicious." Shangguan Shi took a whiff. Indeed it smells delicious." Old Madame Shangguan pouted, "Of course. Would I have brought you all here if the food was bad? Old Madame Shangguan was an experienced foodie. After tasting a bite of the pickled vegetable noodles, Shangguan she gasped, "Oh my gosh! It really is delicious. No wonder Grandma sneaks here every day to eat." Feeling guilty, old Madame Shangguan rubbed her nose. "I don't sneak here to eat every day." Seeing them react this way, Shangguan Su decided to have a bite too. The taste was truly astonishing. The beef noodles are delicious too. Old Madame Shangguan plucked a pickled vegetable noodle from Shangguan Zai's bowl. "Let me try your pickled vegetable noodles. Then you need to let me try your beef noodles too." The grandmother and granddaughter sampled the noodles from each other's bowls. Although all three of them had tasted exotic delicacies, these 3 bowls of noodles still amazed them. This fascinating sensation could only be understood by those who tasted it firsthand. When leaving, old Madame Shangguan specifically told Enai Yang goodbye. "Yang, we're heading home." The restaurant was quite busy, with Enai Yang hardly taking a break. But she always carried a slight smile on her face. Even though she seemed never to tire, her smile was contagious, even making Shangguan Su unconsciously smile back. Chapter 348. The lovely Mrs. Shangguan heavily mistreats the family of Qian Zhaodi _3. "Take care, goodbye." And Yang saw the trio to the door. "Goodbye, Yang." Shangguan she waved at Yang. "Goodbye." Once out of the noodle restaurant, Shangguan she tugged at Shangguan's sleeve. "Brother, that girl Yang is quite impressive. She's well-mannered and cultured, just like a young lady of a noble family." The Shangguan matriarch nodded repeatedly. "Indeed, she is quite impressive. You need to put in effort, Xiaoxiu." The grandmother also made a cute cheering gesture. Shangguan Su replied, "Grandmother, what are you thinking?" The matriarch glanced at him. "What am I thinking? Of course, I'm considering my future granddaughter-in-law." Shangguan Su was speechless. "Grandmother, you're thinking too much." "Perhaps," the matriarch nodded in agreement. "There's no way a beautiful girl like Yang would be interested in you. She's not blind. When one gets old, it's easier to let the mind wander." Shangguan Su, "I really am your grandson." "Indeed," the matriarch proudly replied. "If you weren't my grandson, you wouldn't have the privilege of my criticism." Shangguan Su, Shangguan she chuckled. "Brother, seriously, you have to try harder. Yang is exceptional. She must have a lot of suitors." Shangguan Su replied, "We are just friends, and I don't have any other intentions." "Really?" Shangguan she arched an eyebrow. "Really?" Shangguan Su responded earnestly. The Shangguan grandmother sighed. "Even if you had other intentions, Yang wouldn't be interested in you. If I were Yang, I wouldn't be interested in you either. I would look for someone tall, handsome, and rich. Someone more handsome than Tony Leung Tue." At this time, the 1984 version of Dear Cauldron, starring Tony Leung Tue, had just come out. The show was a hit and gained a group of dedicated fans, and the Shangguan matriarch was one of them. Shangguan Su, "This is really my grandmother." After the noodle restaurant closed for the night, Enai Yang went to the vegetable market. As soon as she got to the market, she saw Zhaodi holding a bright red camellia flower and looking around expectantly. "Zhaodi, sister Enai Yang." When she saw Enai Yang, Zhaodi's eyes gleamed with delight. In the dark, bleak days, Enai Yang had become her only salvation, her only light, illuminating her path forward. "Zhaodi, this is for you." Enai Yang handed her a prepared lunchbox. "Thank you, sis." "You're welcome." Enai Yang patted her on the head and took 5 yuan out from her pocket. "This is for your expenses today." Zhaodi took the money and hesitated a bit before saying, "Sister Enai Yang, you don't have to give me 5 yuan every day." Enai Yang smiled subtly. "It's fine, take it." After parting ways with Enai Yang, Zhaodi went back to her secret hideaway, sitting at the entrance of the alley, carefully opening the lunchbox, filled with fish slices, noodles, meatballs, and vegetables. Zhaodi took a bite of the noodles and narrowed her eyes in content. So delicious! She had never eaten such delicious noodles in her life. After finishing the noodles and hiding the money, Zhaodi headed home, hobbling. When she got home, Xianxia, Zhao Xiaoxi, and Qian Wangkai had already had dinner, leaving her a bowl of cold rice soup. Zhaodi gulped down the soup and went back to her room. It was more of a pigsty than a room, with a faint smell of stench still lingering in the air. Zhaodi didn't mind. She reached under the bed and pulled out a peach pit. The pit was small and red, and one side already had a small notch from being rubbed against the ground. Zhaodi took the pit and began rubbing the other side on the ground. If she could smooth the other side, the pit could be shaped like a small vegetable basket. Just then, the door was kicked harshly open. Before Zhaodi could react, her hair was roughly grabbed. Xianxia dragged Zhaodi outside. "You little beast! You're getting bold now. Even learn to steal money." "Dad, I did not steal any money." "Dare to argue, do you?" Zhao Xiaoxi approached with a rolling pin, striking Zhaodi's back forcefully. Xianxia also ridiculed Zhaodi with punches and kicks. The couple was ruthless, showing no mercy. "You little slut! How dare you steal my money? Do you want to die? This will teach you to steal. This will teach you." Chapter 349. The lovely Mrs. Shangguan heavily mistreats the family of Qian Zhaodi_4. Qian Zhaodi cried out, "I didn't steal the money, I didn't." But Xianxia and Zhao Xiaoxi didn't give her any chance to explain. In no time, they had beaten Qian Zhaodi until she was black and blue. While feasting on a large chicken thigh, Qian Wangkai clapped and cheered. "It's her who stole. Beat up this money-wasting brat to death." "So it wasn't you who stole?" Zhao Xiaoxi spoke cruelly. "Then where's my money? Was it stolen by a ghost? You little parasite, I'll beat you to death today." Qian Zhaodi's heart-wrenching cries attracted the neighbors. "What on earth did the child do wrong to deserve such a beating from you? If you keep beating her like this, someone might end up dead." The person speaking was an old woman with white hair. "Grandma Gu." Qian Zhaodi hid behind Grandma Gu in fear. Zhao Xiaoxi stood with her hands on her hips. "You think we want to hit her? This little parasite, she's even learned how to steal money now." "I didn't, Grandma Gu, I didn't." Qian Zhaodi shook her head, her face streaming with tears. "Good child, Grandma believes you." Grandma Gu wiped the tears from Qian Zhaodi's face and continued. "Xianxia, Xiaoxi, listen to my advice. You must do good deeds to have good outcomes. If you are unwilling to keep Zhaodi, you can give her to me to raise." "You want to raise her? Give me money," Xianxia said. "How much do you want?" Grandma Gu replied. Xianxia said, "By the standard of 1,000 yuan per year for 12 years, you should give me 12,000 yuan. 12,000? At that time, a farmer's annual income was just over 100. 12,000 was astronomically high. Xianxia was simply asking for an exorbitant amount. Xianxia continued, "If you don't have the money, stay out of my family's business. Even if a life is lost, it's my own family matter, none of your business. You little parasite, come here." He was Qian Zhaodi's father. Even if he killed Qian Zhaodi, no one could do anything to him. Xianxia dragged Qian Zhaodi into the house and shut the door to continue beating her. Desolate howling noises kept coming from inside the house. "Oh, what a sin!" Grandma Gu sighed and shook her head. The couple kept beating Zhaodi for a whole 20 minutes, only stopping when she passed out. Qian Wangkai walked over and kicked Qian Zhaodi. "Mom, has this money waster died yet?" Just then, a large renminbi bill fell out of Qian Wangkai's pocket. Qian Wangkai's eyes widened in shock. Zhao Xiaoxi picked up the bill, surprised. "Isn't this the 10 yuan I lost? Wangkai, how did it end up with you?" As she suspected the money was stolen by Qian Zhaodi, Zhao Xiaoxi put a mark on each bill. So, she recognized at a glance that it was her money. Qian Wangkai immediately burst into tears. He was very wronged. Xianxia said, "Why are you angry at our son? Is it just about 10 yuan? Zhao Xiaoxi bent down to pick up Qian Wangkai, soothing him. "Wangkai, I'm sorry. Mom didn't mean it. Don't cry. If you want money, you can ask Mom. Why did you have to steal it?" The couple took their son back to their bedroom without even taking a second glance at Qian Zhaodi, who lay unconscious on the floor. Even though Qian Zhaodi had fainted, she continued to tightly grip the peach pit in her hand. After Yang returned, she began studying the burn ointment. She had observed carefully, although Qian Zhaodi's burns looked terrifying, they were not very severe. Moreover, Qian Zhaodi was still young. As long as she used the medicine in time, she would recover completely. In fact, Yang had started developing the burn ointment the first time she saw Qian Zhaodi. It just lacked a few steps to complete. The next day, Yang found Qian Zhaodi holding a camellia flower at the entrance of the market as usual. But unlike usual, Qian Zhaodi was covered in wounds today. "Zhaodi, what happened to you?" Yang got a shock. "It's nothing." Qian Zhaodi gave a slight smile. "My parents did this." Yang frowned slightly. "Why would they hit you?" "They were too harsh." Qian Zhaodi nonchalantly said, "I'm used to it, sister. You don't need to be surprised." Yang held Qian Zhaodi's hand. "Come with me to my shop. I'll apply ointment for you. Child abuse is a crime. I'll take you to the police." Chapter 350. The lovely Mrs. Shangguan heavily mistreats the family of Qian Zhaodi under Sker 5. "No need," Qian Zhaodi shook her head. "It's not hurting anymore." Calling the police? That would be useless. As long as she lived in this house, she would never be able to escape this fate. The neighbors had tried to help by calling the police before. But after the police detained Xianxia, the abuse she received escalated. Since then, no one dared to help her call the police anymore. "Sister, if you really want to help me, there is something I want to ask of you." Qian Zhaodi lifted her gaze towards Yang, hesitating to continue. Yang said, "Zhaodi, don't be afraid. Just speak openly. As long as it's something I can assist with, it'll definitely help." Qian Zhaodi hesitated for a moment and then said, "Sister, could you lend me some money?" Yang asked, "How much do you need?" "I need to borrow 100 yuan, is that okay?" When she said this, Qian Zhaodi's voice gradually lowered. 100 yuan was not a small sum. Would Yang lend it to her, who was only 12 years old? It seemed unlikely, right? Qian Zhaodi bit her lip. Yang reached into her pocket and said, "I have 235 yuan left here. You can take it all." Before going to the vegetable market, Yang had put away all the day's profit, leaving just 261 yuan for spending. She had just spent 26 yuan on groceries, so she had 235 yuan left. Although she didn't know what Qian Zhaodi needed the money for, she knew that Qian Zhaodi must desperately need this money, otherwise, she would not have asked for it. Moreover, Qian Zhaodi and Yang shared the same fate. Seeing Qian Zhaodi reminded Yang of her own past, she couldn't bear to reject her. Qian Zhaodi clutched the 230 yuan tightly in her hand, swallowing hard before saying, "Sister, thank you." Yang then handed over the bag of noodles to Qian Zhaodi. "Zhaodi, here are some noodles. There's also a tube of burn ointment in the bag. Apply it on your scars before you sleep every night. It's good for your burns." "Thank you, sister." Qian Zhaodi's eyes reddened instantly. She wanted to hug Yang, but her clothes were dirty and tattered, and she was afraid of dirtying Yang's clothes. As if reading Qian Zhaodi's mind, Yang reached out to hug her. "You're welcome, Zhaodi. If you ever run into any trouble, just tell me directly." Qian Zhaodi held her head against Yang's shoulder, sobbing softly. For many years to come, she would never forget this moment. "Don't cry anymore." Yang caressed her head, whispering to comfort her. The next afternoon, when Yang saw Qian Zhaodi again, her bruises had faded considerably, looking less terrifying than the day before. As before, Yang brought noodles for Qian Zhaodi and also bought flowers. Watching Yang's retreating figure, deeply, Qian Zhaodi bowed. Her eyes filled with unspoken emotions. "Sister, thank you." After Yang left, Qian Zhaodi took out a penny and went to the shop to buy 10 fruit candies. Then, she asked the old man who swept the train station to help her buy a train ticket. After she finished these tasks, she went home. Since it was still early, Zhao Xiaoxi and Qian Shengqian had gone to work in the field and hadn't returned yet, leaving Qian Wangkai sitting at the doorstep. "Wasteful brat, finally home. I'm hungry. Cook me something now." "Has mom and dad not come back yet?" Qian Zhaodi looked inside. Wasteful brat, worthless runt. I'm telling you to cook for me. Are you deaf? The hand Xianxia hid in her sleeve clenched into a fist. Speaking in a low voice, she said, "Wan Kai, do you want candy?" Qian Wankai bellowed, "Wasteful brat. You dare to eat candy behind mom and dad's back. Speak. Did you steal money? I'm going to tell mom and dad right now. Let them beat you to death, you worthless runt." No, Wankai, you misunderstood. I didn't steal the money, I found my candy up on the mountain, look. Qian Zhaodi slowly opened her hand, revealing a piece of candy still covered in dirt. Candy! Qian Wankai snatched the candy, unwrapped it and stuffed it into his mouth. You little runt, where did you find this candy? Just up on the mountain, answered Qian Zhaodi. Then take me there now. Okay. Qian Zhaodi nodded, leading Qian Wankai towards the mountain. Qian Zhaodi led Qian Wankai deep into the forest. Pointing to a spot amongst the foliage, she said, "Wankai, look, the candy is over there." Fearing that Qian Zhaodi would snatch the candies, Qian Wankai immediately dashed over to pick them up. Chapter 351. The lovely Mrs. Shangguan heavily mistreats the family of Qian Zhaodi _6. But in the next second, a piercing scream of agony echoed through the air. Ah! Qian Wankai's foot was caught in a large animal trap. The sharp teeth of the trap bit tightly into Qian Wankai's ankle, and his cotton pants were instantly soaked with blood. Pain. Extreme pain. The air was filled with a strong stench of blood. Qian Wankai was in so much pain that he was on the verge of passing out. Crying, he yelled out, "Useless bastard! You little jerk! What are you staring at? Hurry up and help me!" Qian Zhaodi immediately rushed forward, trying to pry open the trap with her hands. "Wankai, don't be afraid, your sister is here to save you." Unfortunately, the trap didn't open, but instead clamped tighter. The pain was unbearable, like being bitten by a tiger. Unable to withstand the intense pain, Qian Wankai fainted. Before he lost consciousness, he cursed at Qian Zhaodi, "You bitch! How dare you harm me? Come save me. Come beat this bitch." Unfortunately, no one could hear his cries in the thick forest. Qian Zhaodi didn't linger at the place and ran back to the village. "Mom and Dad. Spad. Wankai is missing." When she returned, Xianxia and Zhao Xiaoxi had already noticed that Qian Wankai was missing and were frantically looking for him everywhere. "I asked you to watch your brother. How could you lose him? What kind of sister are you?" Zhao Xiaoxi slapped Qian Zhaodi across the face. Qian Zhaodi cried out, "Wankai said he wanted to go play in the back mountain. I couldn't stop him, so I went with him. But all of a sudden, Wankai disappeared while we were playing. I don't know what happened." Xianxia grabbed a flashlight and walked out of the house anxiously. "Xiaoxi, let's go find Wankai. Once we find him, we'll settle the score with this good-for-nothing girl. If something happens to Wankai today, I'll skin you alive." The couple left the house, cursing and swearing. Not long after, a huge fire broke out in a small farmhouse, consuming everything inside. The flickering flames lit up Qian Zhaodi's dirt-streaked face, and a hint of a smile appeared on corner of her mouth. She finally took the step. Before leaving, Qian Zhaodi went to the door of Granny Gu's house next door and gave a sincere kowtow. These years, Granny Gu had taken care of her time and time again. Without her, she might have died long ago. Just then, the tightly closed door suddenly opened. "Granny Gu." Qian Zhaodi looked up at Granny Gu, surprised. Granny Gu shoved a bundle into Qian Zhaodi's arms. "Child, don't say anything. Go quickly." "Granny Gu," Qian Zhaodi choked out, "goodbye." Qian Zhaodi's frail figure disappeared into the dimness of the night. Granny Gu watched her leave and sighed slowly. It's better that she's gone. Because if Qian Zhaodi continued to stay in this family, she would eventually face certain death. By the time Zhao Xiaoxi and Xianxia brought the unconscious Qian Wankai back from the mountain, the fire was completely out of control, and the beams of the house had collapsed. "Oh my God! What happened? Help! Somebody help put out the fire." Xianxia was quite wealthy, and underneath his bed, he had hidden treasures handed down from his ancestors. My treasure! My treasure! Without his treasures, How would his family live the high life in the future? When the couple shouted out in panic, it drew quite a few villagers to come and watch the excitement. But they were there just to watch. In the village, Xianxia and Zhao Xiaoxi were notorious for their domineering, cunning, and evil behavior, frequently abusing their daughter. So when they came to such a state, everyone was almost clapping in joy. What goes around comes around. This is their retribution. Right you are. I beg you, please help us put out the fire. I will pay you a lot. At this point, Zhao Xiaoxi didn't care about her son's injuries anymore. She knelt on the ground, pleading with everyone. Even if you give us a lot of money, we can't act against our conscience. Yes. 3 feet above our heads, there are divine beings watching. If we help put out the fire, won't that just be helping a tyrant? When you two are doing evil things in the village and abusing Zhaodi, didn't you ever think about this day? You deserve it. Please. Zhao Xiaoxi knelt till his forehead was bloody, but no one was willing to reach out a helping hand. Relying on others will not help. Xianxia bravely dashed into the blazing inferno to retrieve his treasure. Wenkai's father. Zhao Xiaoxi screamed in horror, watching as the raging fire engulfed Xianxia. Then there is such a question from the crowd. Where is Zhaodi? My goodness. The child isn't still in the fire, is she? Zhaodi is such a pitiful child. Once this realization seeped in, the onlookers promptly began to extinguish the flames. But it was too late, because the fire was way too massive. However, they managed to drag Xianxia out of the burning area, but by then, it was too late. Xianxia was so charred that he was unrecognizable. He was barely alive, but bedridden for the rest of his life. Qian Wangkai, on the other hand, had to have his limb amputated because his wounds were not properly cared for in time and thus had become infected. As for Qian Zhaodi, everyone speculated whether she had been reduced to ashes in the fire. Everything was lost. No more people, no more money. Zhao Xiaoxi sat on the cold ground, crying uncontrollably, and finally, unable to cope with this blow, he turned mad overnight. At this time, Qian Zhaodi had just gotten off the train. Watching the rising red sun, her eyes brimmed with endless hope. A new life. It had begun. She would tread along the pathway leading towards her future, slowly but steadily. The next day, when Yang went to the vegetable market again, she didn't see the familiar figure with yearning eyes, clutching a camellia flower. It was getting late, and there was still no sign of Zhaodi. Yang glanced at the setting sun and furrowed her brows in concern. Excuse me, are you Sister Yang? A childish voice sounded at her side. Looking down, Yang saw a little boy, about 7 or 8. I am Yang. How can I help you, dear? The boy said, I'm Zhaodi's good friend. She asked me to tell you that she has gone far away. She will take care of herself, and you should not worry about her. Also, the boy pulled a red string out of his pocket and gave it to Yang. She asked me to give this to you. Before Yang could ask anything else, the young boy scurried off. Yang lowered her eyes to the red string in her palm. It was an ordinary red string, with a peach pit in the shape of a basket tied to it. The pit was polished and gleamed brightly, which showed the dedication of whoever crafted it. Peach pits tied with red strings were considered talismans against evil in folklore. Nevertheless, this was a token from Zhaodi, and Yang carefully tied it around her left wrist. Soon, Saturday arrived. Today was the day of Li Yanren's party. Fearful that Li Ting might not be interested in such a gathering, she had not only invited Yang but also Li Xianxia. The idea of a party, after all, was to make it as lively as possible with more people. Chapter 352, Handsome Counterattack, revealing the true face of Li Xianxia _1 Yang, having accepted Li Yanren's invitation, naturally wouldn't break her promise. It's already the 4th lunar month now, and the weather is slowly warming up. The willows on the riverbank are beginning to bud, fluttering in the wind, looking like a girl's slender waist. Yang opened up her wardrobe. She didn't have many clothes, mainly cheongsams and coats, along with one bright red down jacket. All she needed to wear in this kind of weather was a cheongsam. Yang stood in front of the wardrobe and after much hesitation, ultimately chose a blue-green cheongsam. The button loops of the cheongsam were wine red. The combination of blue and red didn't look abrupt, but rather harmonious. She wore a pair of silver-white high heels that revealed a little of her fair ankle and slender calves. Her long black hair was loosely plaited into a fishtail braid that hung over her left breast. A small clip, similar to a hairpin, was tucked behind her ear. As she walked, the short bead chain on the clip quivered, making it look especially pleasing. The cheongsam is a type of attire that is rather selective of its wearer. If slightly mishandled, it would make the wearer seem excessively mature, drab. Yet when worn by Ni Yang, one could see infinite vitality and beauty, a feast for the eyes. She was like an orchid blooming alone in a valley, capable of becoming a beautiful landscape wherever she went. Just as Ni Yang finished changing her clothes, Ni Hua's voice came from the courtyard. Yang, are you ready? Yanran is here. I'm ready, Ni Yang walked out of the room. Yang, you look so beautiful. Even though this wasn't the first time seeing Ni Yang dressed in a cheongsam, each time, Ni Yang always impressed, radiating a unique beauty in each cheongsam she wore. Thank you, Ni Yang said with a smile. You're very beautiful too. I mean it, you're really beautiful. Li Yanran went over and held onto Ni Yang's wrist. Oh, how wonderful it would be if beautiful Ni Yang could become her sister-in-law and save the gene pool of the Li family. Li Yanran mused happily. The two greeted Ni Hua, then left the Ni family home. Due to the poor roads in the village, Li Yanran's car could only be parked at the entrance of the village. The two walked to the village entrance. Li Yanran opened the door of the passenger side. Yang, you sit next to me. Ni Yang was somewhat surprised. Yanran, you drove here yourself? In the 80s, it was rare for women to drive. But then again, Li Yanran was from a wealthy family, so her being able to drive wasn't a rarity. Li Yanran nodded. Yes, I drove here myself. Ni Yang leaned in and slid into the car. The car that Li Yanran was driving was a well-known domestic brand, with all leather seats, and even a radio installed inside. At that moment, the radio was broadcasting a famous martial arts novel. Not only could the radio broadcast novels, but it could also play music. Li Yanran turned to Ni Yang. Yang, would you like to listen to some music? Sure. Ni Yang nodded. Li Yanran flipped the switch, and a familiar song instantly began to play from the radio. It seems as if I've seen it in a dream. Waves appear in my heart, casting aside worldly worries and grievances. This song, The Iron-Blooded Loyal Heart, was the theme song for The Legend of the Condor Heroes, starring Huang Rihua and Weng Meiling. The Legend of the Condor Heroes first aired in 1983, and in the years that followed, it became an unforgettable memory for an entire generation and an unparalleled classic on screen. This was too familiar a song, and it made Ni Yang hum along subconsciously. Her voice was clear and melodious, possessing an indescribable charm when humming Cantonese songs. Li Yanran exclaimed in surprise, Yang, you can actually sing The Iron-Blooded Loyal Heart. The Iron-Blooded Loyal Heart was in Cantonese, which Li Yanran had wanted to learn for some time. Cantonese was rather difficult, and she hadn't yet mastered it. Ni Yang smiled. I can sing a bit. Li Yanran said enviously, Yang, you're too amazing. Ni Yang replied, if you want to learn it, I can share a little trick with you. Yes, tell me. Ni Yang went on, initially, you don't need to focus on nailing every single word and sound. Just try to incorporate a bit of Cantonese flavor into your native Mandarin. Then listen more, sing more. If all else fails, you can remember the phonetic equivalents of the lyrics. Upon hearing this, Li Yanran's eyes lit up. Right? Why didn't I think of that? I can remember the homophonic phrases. Yang, you're too smart. Chapter 353, Handsome Counterattack, revealing the true face of Li Xianxia Ni Yang bashfully rubbed her nose and modestly said, Justice Sith. The Li family's residence was located right in the heart of the city. Traffic in Beijing at this time was still convenient with no traffic jams, so they quickly reached the Li family's villa. Yang, we're here. All right. Ni Yang opened the car door and got out. Li Yanran led Ni Yang inside. The lease house was decorated in a Western style, with plenty of modern touches seen throughout. The gathering was held in the back garden. By the time Li Yanran and Ni Yang arrived, the back garden was already filled with many people, men and women alike, laughing and chatting merrily. Li Yanran led Ni Yang straight to Li Tingji. "Brother, let me introduce you to Yang, my best friend. Yang, this is my brother. Miss Li, you already know Yang, so there's no need for me to introduce you. Miss Ni, nice to meet you." A light of astonishment flashed in Li Tingzi's eyes as he extended his hand to Ni Yang. "Mr. Li, nice to meet you." Ni Yang reached out and shook his hand. As they shook hands, a small red string slipped from her sleeve. The dazzling red color was like a winter plum blossoming amidst the pure white snow, perfectly complementing her fastening buttons. It was extremely eye-catching. What a stunning woman. However, no matter how beautiful Ni Yang was, he wouldn't be changing his affections, since the person he loved the most was Li Xianxia. Li Xianxia was a very talented woman, while Ni Yang, despite her beauty, seemed like nothing more than an attractive airhead. How could she compare to the talented Li Xianxia? Li Tingji did not take fancy over beautiful women who were empty inside. Maintaining a proper smile on her face, Li Xianxia greeted Ni Yang. "Yang. Sister Xianxia, what a coincidence." Ni Yang also smiled. Ni Yang did not expect to see Li Xianxia here today, and Li Xianxia did not expect to bump into Ni Yang at the Li residence. "Yes, what a coincidence indeed." Li Tingji asked in surprise. "Xianxia, you know Miss Ni?" Li Xianxia nodded. "I had met Yang at Granny Mo's house before. Yang is the divine doctor who cured Xiaodai's illness." Having previously been put in her place by Ni Yang, Li Xianxia wasn't about to make the same mistake. She was waiting for a perfect opportunity, one that could lead to Ni Yang losing face. With so many people here today, it wouldn't be too hard to embarrass Ni Yang. Li Tingji nodded and exclaimed, "Miss Ni is really amazing." Ni Yang replied with a light smile, "Just fulfilling my duty as a doctor." Li Tingji was stunned. He did not expect Ni Yang's response to be so indifferent, as he thought Ni Yang would seize the opportunity to boast about herself. However, Ni Yang did not seem to have any intention of doing so. This girl seemed different from his initial impression of her. Yang, let me introduce you to some of my other friends," Li Yanran said. "All right." Ni Yang nodded. Li Yanran led Ni Yang to a group of young men and women. "Let me introduce you to everyone. This is my recently acquainted good friend, Ni Yang, Yang for short. Nice to meet you, Yang. My name is Zhao Xiaoqi. Imfong Kai. You can just call me Kai. I grew up with Yanran. My name is Lin Xiaoyu, but everyone calls me Little Lin. You can call me that too, Yang. Imfong Ju. I'm Zhou Dajuan." Everyone was quite enthusiastic when greeting Ni Yang. Ni Yang was beautiful and had no conceit, making her popular among the crowd, particularly among the young gentry, who couldn't tear their eyes away from her. Beauty was not rare in Sijio City, but a beauty like Ni Yang, stunning inside and out, was indeed scarce. Not only was she beautiful, but she also had a great figure. Covered by her cheongsam, her waist was so slender that one might think it could snap at any moment. And yet, despite the body-hugging cheongsam, she did not seem the slightest bit provocative. Instead, she seemed even more pure and charming. She was as beautiful as if she had stepped right out of a painting capturing the beauty of Jiangnan's water towns. "Yang," Little Lin exclaimed in surprise, "how did you braid your hair? It's beautiful." Ni Yang smiled and said, "This is called a fishtail braid. If you like it, I can braid your hair this way too." The fishtail braid was a style that only became popular in later years. In this era, people had yet to discover this kind of braiding, so everyone found it very novel when they saw Ni Yang sporting one. Moreover, Ni Yang had adorned the lengths of her fishtail braid with pearls, making it look very fresh. Chapter 354, Handsome Counterattack, revealing the true face of Li Xianxia _3. Really? Yes. Ni Yang was standing behind Lin, helping her style her hair into a fishbone braid. All girls love beauty. As Ni Yang was braiding Lin's hair, a few privileged young ladies crowded around her, hoping to learn the skill. Ni Yang was not stingy with sharing her expertise. She was explaining in detail while braiding, her face full of concentration, sunlight highlighting her with a warm, golden light. Typically, anyone capable of creating something as lovely as this fishbone braid would hoard their expertise to themselves. However, Ni Yang didn't. She explained earnestly and everyone quickly picked up the method from her. She was more than glad to share beautiful things with others. So, all of them grew to like Ni Yang even more after this episode. After the fishbone braiding lesson, the girls began a discussion about Ni Yang's perfect skin. Yang, your skin is flawless. What skincare products do you use? I use Ice Silk Skin. Ni Yang even dropped a little advertisement for the product. Ice Silk Skin? I think I've heard of that product. I also use Ice Silk Skin. Their products are genuinely good. It's just that their anti-wrinkle cream and whitening cream sell out pretty fast, so it's an advantage if you order them in advance. You don't just need to order in advance, you must do it a few months ahead. I'm currently using their aloe vera range. It's rather great, even better than the foreign imports. I've been trying to pre-order for quite some time now. Is Ice Silk Skin really that good? Definitely. Then I'll also buy a set and try it. Just the name Ice Silk Skin sounds pretty high-end. There was a faint shimmer in Ni Yang's eyes. It seemed like Ice Silk Skin had successfully made its mark within the glamorous circles. It was perhaps time to introduce a membership system. Membership marketing is precision marketing fueled by designing detailed business plans. You refine every aspect of your work to perfection in order to meet higher targets, leading to constant growth in business benefits and expansion. Ni Yang believed that someday, Ice Silk Skin would make its name on the international stage. Xianxia watched everything unfold, a flash of dark light flickering in her eyes. Before Ni Yang arrived, she was the most popular person in the circle. But now, her radiant glory had been completely overshadowed by Ni Yang. What a cunning little minx! Since it was a social gathering, there were various entertainment facilities set up in the garden. Xianxia's gaze fell on the dartboard nearby. At this time, dart games had only just become fashionable among the elite. There were not many who were actually skilled at it, but Xianxia just happened to have practiced it before. Xianxia walked up to the dartboard, picked up a dart, and, standing about 20 meters away, elegantly flung the dart. Snap! The dart hit right on the 8th ring. Given that the 10th ring is the best score, an 8 is an impressive achievement. Moreover, Xianxia is a girl, whereas darts is usually seen as a more masculine game. Wow! Xianxia, that's amazing! Xianxia, you're good. A heroine amongst women. Li Ting looked at Xianxia, admiration burning in his eyes. Xianxia was truly amazing, not only in possessing a wealth of knowledge, but she also played darts so well. Xianxia modestly said, "It's just a little trick, it's nothing big." Speaking of darts, Yang is definitely much better than me. After all, she is a talented and versatile woman. Ni Yang raised an eyebrow slightly. Sister Xianxia, you overestimate me. How can a country bumpkin like me know how to play such a game? Exactly. How could a country bumpkin like Ni Yang know how to play it? Amusement sparkled in Xianxia's eyes as she said with a smile, "You're just too modest, Yang." Gu Yi, who was close to Xianxia, approached the two of them, saying gently, "Xianxia, you and Yang stop being so humble. Why not have a competition between you two? Then we can see who is better." Birds of a feather flocked together. Gu Yi, just like Xianxia, was filled with envious hatred towards anyone more attractive than her. "Would I have the honor of competing with you, Yang?" Xianxia looked up at Ni Yang. Together, the two of them pushed Ni Yang into the spotlight. If she refused now, it would certainly leave a poor impression. The pair obviously wanted to make her look foolish. Ni Yang gave a light smile. "Since Sister Xianxia has cordially invited me, it would be impolite to decline. Sister Xianxia, after you." Xianxia nodded and picked up a dart. Chapter 355. handsome counterattack, revealing the true face of Li Xianxian _4. Wait a minute. Gu Yi reached out to stop Li Xianxian. Li Xianxian turned her eyes to Gu Yi. What is it, Yi? Gu Yi continued. Since it's a competition, we should set up the rules and stakes for the game. Otherwise, it wouldn't be fun. Stakes? Li Xianxian curiously asked. What do you think the stakes should be, Yi? Gu Yi replied with a laugh. The bigger the stakes, the more fun it'll be. I just don't know if Miss Anai is brave enough to play. As she said this, Gu Yi turned her gaze towards Anai Yang, with undisguised provocation in her eyes. Anai Yang looked unperturbed. Miss Gu, just say what you want. As long as Sister Xianxian agrees, I have no objections. Li Xianxian said, Go ahead, Yi. I'm willing to follow the rules of the game. Gu Yi carried on. How about the loser performs a striptease to liven up the atmosphere? Striptease? With so many people present, performing a striptease would make it impossible to hold one's head high again. Such a dare was like grinding the opponent's dignity on the floor. Interesting. Anai Yang's lips slightly curved up. Gu, Li Yanran said with a slight frown, stepping forward, It's just a darts game. Do we really need such outrageous stakes? Li Yanran was a little worried for Anai Yang. After all, not many people know how to play darts at this time, and Li Xianxian is a master. She didn't want Anai Yang to be at a disadvantage. Gu Yi laughed and said, Yanran, Anai Yang and Xianxian, the people involved aren't saying much. This sentence indirectly told Li Yanran to mind her own business. Just as Li Yanran was about to retort, she was gently pulled by Anai Yang, who signaled her not to worry. Seeing her like this, Li Yanran silently heaved a sigh of relief. Gu Yi continued, The stakes are clear, let me declare the rules now. Miss Anai and Xianxian, you each get 3 darts. The person with the highest score wins. Li Xianxian smiled at Anai Yang and said softly, Since you have no objections, Yang, to the stakes and rules, I'll start first. All right. Anai Yang nodded. Li Xianxian picked up a dart and threw it swiftly. The black dart hit directly into the 9th ring. Moreover, the dart stuck between the boundary lines of the 9th and 10th rings, almost into the 10th ring. Without waiting for the crowd to react, Li Xianxian picked up the 2nd dart. This time, the dart astonishingly hit the 10th ring. The 10th ring. The highest score on the dartboard. Even the men at the scene who had practiced darts probably couldn't hit the 10th ring. Li Xianxian looked at the surprised eyes of the crowd, and an imperceptible proud look flashed in her eyes as she picked up the 3rd dart. This one also hit the 10th ring. In total, it was 29 points. That was incredible. There was a burst of applause from the crowd. Even some professional players probably couldn't achieve 29 points. No one expected Li Xianxian to have such skills. I'm sorry if I've made a fool of myself, Li Xianxian modestly responded. Xianxian, I really admire you. Gu Yi approached Li Xianxian. Did you underperform with your first dart? Li Xianxian nodded. I haven't played for a long time, my hand's a bit rusty. Someone at the side exclaimed, A rusty throw got the 9th ring. Xianxian, you're the first girl who's made me entirely admire. Li Xianxian smiled and said, It's just a little trick, you're too kind, Zhou. If her rusty throw got the 9th ring, how many rings could Anai Yang get if she gives it her all? At this moment, the more Li Xianxian downplays her skills, the more it underscores Anai Yang's incompetence. Striptease. The very thought of it felt exhilarating. Miss Anai, what kind of striptease do you plan to present to everyone? Gu Yi looked at Anai Yang rhetorically. Anai Yang kept a calm face. The game has not been decided yet. What are you so worried about, Miss Gu? I'm not worried, Gu Yi responded with a ridiculing look, as long as Miss Anai doesn't play dirty when the time comes and accept her loss. Anai Yang flashed a charming smile. Honesty is the way of heaven. A gentleman keeps his word. She spoke with such dignity, even Li Ting looked at Anai Yang at this moment. It seems that Anai Yang is not the incompetent beauty as he imagined, she has some cultural foundation, just not as talented as Li Xianxian. Gu Yi laughed and said, I feel reassured with Miss Ennis' words. Whoever goes back on their word after the game is a contemptible person who loses face. Chapter 356, Handsome Counterattack, revealing the true face of Li Xianxian under survive. Naturally. Anai Yang nodded. No one present thought Anai Yang would win. After all, Li Xianxian scored 29 points. Unless Anai Yang could score 30 points. Although Anai Yang was beautiful, beauty didn't equate to skill. Could she score 30 points? Anai Yang casually picked up 3 darts, half closed her eyes, aimed at the bullseye, lightly flicked her left hand, and all 3 darts flew out. Her actions were clean and sharp, without a hint of messiness. All 3 of them. She actually threw all 3 at once? Could all 3 hit the dartboard at once? Does she even know how to play darts? Anai Yang was about to embarrass herself. She would become the laughingstock of the venue. A triumphant glimmer flashed momentarily across Li Xianxian's eyes. But the next second, something unbelievable happened. All 3 darts hit the 10-ring score. And they hit the bullseye. All 3 darts were tightly clustered together. This was beyond impressive. Scary. It's really too scary. Li Xianxian's face turned deathly pale. What? How could this be possible? How could Anai Yang, a simple country girl, have such talent? Xianxian, Li Yanran gloated, what kind of sultry dance are you preparing to perform for us? A sultry dance? How could she dance that kind of dance? Gu Yi stood up and said, this round doesn't count. No one could hit the bullseye with all 3 darts at once. This must be a coincidence. Li Yanran retorted, Gu Yi, your reasoning seems a bit far-fetched, don't you think? You say it's a coincidence, then why don't you go ahead and show us a coincidence of your own? If you can't stand to lose, then don't play. Gu Yi retorted, if it's not a coincidence, then please demonstrate for us again. She refused to believe that Anai Yang could be so lucky a second time. Upon hearing this, everyone around nodded in agreement. Hitting the bullseye with 3 darts at once, it truly was a bit unbelievable and could indeed be mere coincidence. Gu Yi, you're just stirring up trouble. Li Yanran was furious. A sense of relief washed over Li Xianxian's face. It was just a coincidence, she didn't need to panic. In the end, the loser would still be Anai Yang. Anai Yang gave a light smile, reached out to pick up 3 darts. Then please watch closely, Miss Gu. Since everyone thought it was a coincidence, she would prove herself with her skills. With those words, she raised her hand. Swish. 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 All 3 darts hit the bullseye again. Everyone fell completely silent. The area was absolutely quiet, nobody said a word. Anai Yang continued, if Miss Gu still thinks it's a coincidence, then how about this? After she spoke, Anai Yang threw another 3 darts. And this time, she threw them with her back facing the dartboard. Her pose was scarily cool. What was even scarier was that all 3 darts still hit the bullseye. Even Li Ting, standing beside her, was dumbfounded. He thought that Li Xianxian was the most impressive girl he had ever met, but he never ever thought that, in this world, there was someone who could beat Li Xianxian. Yang, you're so good. Li Yanran walked over and hugged Anai Yang's arm. I guess some people have no words left now. How is this possible? Gu Yi exclaimed in disbelief. Did you cheat? How could you cheat at darts? There were so many people watching, Gu Yi's accusation was absurd. Anai Yang smiled faintly, the corners of her mouth lifted slightly. Only a dog would go back on its word, so. Miss Gu, don't be a dog. Her tone was gentle but resolute, effectively reprimanding both Gu Yi and Li Xianxian without a single swear word. Xianxian, it's time for you to keep your end of the bet. Li Yanran turned to look at Li Xianxian. Li Xianxian's face was ghostly pale. What was she supposed to do? How could she dance in such a humiliating way? If she danced, she would completely lose face. Ting, Li Xianxian looked up at Li Ting, her eyes full of mist. Anyone who saw her in such a pitiful state would instantly feel sympathetic. Seeing her like that, Li Ting felt as if his heart was being squeezed. He could barely breathe from heartache. Although Li Xianxian had lost, she wasn't the one at fault. The one in the wrong was Gu Yi. Gu Yi should never have suggested such an outrageous bet. Xianxian, don't worry. Li Ting whispered comforting words to Li Xianxian, Then he turned to Li Yanran. Yanran, you're not young anymore. How could you join in the foolish clamor? Chapter 357, Handsome Counterattack, revealing the true face of Li Xianxian _6. Li Yanran said, I'm not stirring up trouble for no reason. This is a bet. Since Xianxian agreed to it, she should fulfill it as promised. Li Xianxian lowered her head, her hands tightly clutching the corners of her dress, embarrassed in a way she hadn't been since that incident with the Mo family. Everyone's gazes cut into her like knives, every look was like a torture. Tai Yang. That horrible Ai Yang was to blame for all of this. It looks like this malicious woman couldn't be allowed to stay. As long as this woman was around, she couldn't get her head up high. Yinan, enough of your antics. Li Tingzi's voice suddenly turned stern. Ai Yang laughed and spoke. Yanran, in this world just as there are gentlemen, naturally, there are also villains. We should be broad-minded and not bicker with untrustworthy people, right? If someone wants to commit such lowly behavior, Ai Yang would allow it. Whether she dances or not, Li Xianxian would lose face today either way. Hearing this, Li Yanran laughed lightly. Yang, you're right, why do we bother with petty people? Li Xianxian bit her lip, raised her head to look at Li Tingji, and said with a pale face, Tingji, I'm feeling a bit unwell, I'm going home early. Li Tingji said in a worried tone, I'll send you home. No need, I want to be alone for a while. After saying this, Li Xianxian turned around and left directly. Li Tingji walked up to Li Yanran and said angrily, Yanran, do you realize that you went too far just now? Xianxian is our guest. Look at what you've reduced her to. Since Ai Yang was a guest, Li Tingji couldn't directly point fingers at her, so he indirectly criticized his own younger sister instead. How have I gone too far? I was just abiding by the bet. Li Yanran said, Brother, the one who's being unreasonable is you. You know that Li Xianxian is a guest, but Yang is also a guest who I invited. Li Tingji choked up, anyway, you're not allowed to treat Xianxian like this in the future. Li Yanran got tired of dealing with her confused elder brother and pulling Ai Yang aside, she walked away. Yang, let's go over here. The two sat in front of a small flower bed, where Li Yanran began to tell Ai Yang about the past between Li Xianxian and Li Tingji. My brother is a man who values substance. The reason he is so protective of Li Xianxian is because of her talent. Although Li Xianxian's character is questionable, she is indeed talented. I remember she wrote a poem called Mountain Moon that was particularly good. Mountain Moon? Ai Yang raised an eyebrow slightly. Yanran, do you remember the content? Li Yanran thought for a moment, then said, I once came by moonlight, solely because you were in the mountains. Ai Yang continued, the mountain breeze brushes against my hair, my neck, and my bare shoulders. The moonlight dresses me in radiant garments. The moonlight dresses me in radiant garments. Just as Li Tingji happened to be passing by, he was surprised. Miss Ai, you also appreciate Xianxian's poetry? Li Yanran looked at Ai Yang in shock as well. Ai Yang laughed and said, Li Xianxian's poem? When did this poem become Li Xianxian's? If I remember correctly, this is clearly Shi Murong's poem. In Ai Yang's previous life, she clearly remembered Shi Murong's existence, and that Shi Murong had been famous all over China in 81, but in this life, there was no news about Shi Murong at all. It is unclear whether this is due to the butterfly effect brought about by reincarnation. However, it was disgusting that Li Xianxian blatantly claimed others' work for her own. Nonsense. Li Tingzi's face changed. Miss Ai, even if you have an issue with Xianxian, there's no need for you to insult her like this. Do you know how important a reputation is to a girl? Ai Yang looked indifferent and continued. Li Xianxian told you that she wrote Mountain Moon, but did she also tell you that Mountain Moon was selected from a poetry collection named 7 Miles Sent, which not only contains Mountain Moon but many other famous poems? And Mountain Moon does not end at the moonlight dresses me in radiant garments. There's another part following it. The reason Li Xianxian didn't write the following part was likely because she only read the first half of Mountain Moon. Always ready to fan the flames, Li Yanran asked, Yang, what's the latter part about? Ai Yang continued, new greenery appears in the forest, just like my youthful appearance. Youth is transparent like strong liquor, drinkable, able to be drained, able to part ways, but eventually, how many things we two have exchanged as the stars shifted. Li Tingzi's face grew increasingly dark, for he had never heard Li Xianxian recite this last part. Could Li Xianxian actually have plagiarized? Li Yanran shook her head. Tut tut, Li Xianxian is such a hypocrite. Does such a thing? Shameless. Li Tingji couldn't accept this blow and subconsciously defended Li Xianxian. There must be some misunderstanding. Mr. Li is a smart man. Whether there is a misunderstanding or not, you should be clear in your heart. And I Yang added, it was better to leave things unsaid here, otherwise, it could backfire. Li Tingji stumbled away from the back garden. After Li Xianxian left the Li family, she headed to a public phone booth. Mother! The coldness in Li Xianxian's voice coming through the phone gave Li Shu a shudder. Xianxian, what happened? Li Shu stuttered in fear. Ever since Ni Yang left Dam Village, Li Shu had been unable to eat or sleep properly, afraid that Li Xianxian would discover the truth. Did Mu Yang leave Dam Village? No. Li Shu wiped the cold sweat off her forehead. How long are you going to keep lying to me? What did I tell you? Why did you let her leave Dam Village? Li Shu hastily explained, Xianxian, listen to me. It's not what you think, I really tried my best, but you need to understand that it's difficult to go against the will of others. Li Shu recounted the events that had happened in Dam Village to Li Xianxian. After hearing the events, Li Xianxian narrowed her eyes. She is quite capable. She even managed to enlist the help of a city official. Li Xianxian continued, Mother, do you want to live a good life in the city? Xianxian. Li Shu exclaimed joyfully, are you finally going to bring me to the city to live a good life? Mother, now you have more than just one daughter. Li Shu furrowed her eyebrows. Xianxian, what are you talking about? Apart from you, how many daughters could I have? Li Xianxian said, didn't you already marry Mu Jinbao? Then Mu Yang is also your half-daughter. As your daughter, she should fulfill her obligation of supporting her parents and elders. Mother, Mu Yang is now doing well in the city. She has opened 4 noodle restaurants and has become quite wealthy. Li Shu's eyes lit up immediately. She didn't expect that little wretch Mu Yang to now have such ability. It seems that she was going to live the life of a rich wife in the future. The thought of this brought Li Shu much excitement. Li Xianxian continued, Mother, you don't need me to teach you what to do, right? No, Li Shu laughed. Xianxian, rest assured, this time I promise not to disappoint you. Chapter 358. Find Sun Shiwu, pay back tooth for tooth, take it all as it is. _1 Li Xianxian gave a few more instructions, then said, Mom, you guys should set off as soon as possible. It's better to do this sooner rather than later. Once you get to Beijing, I'll arrange for someone to meet you. Okay. Li Shu hesitated for a moment, then asked, Xianxian, can I see you this time? Ever since the incident 3 years ago, the mother and daughter hadn't seen each other in person. Their only contact over the years had been through phone calls and telegrams. For anything important, Li Xianxian would notify Li Shu over the phone. And Li Xianxian never used a landline. Li Xianxian frowned slightly, her stance firm as she said, No. But I miss you a lot. Mom, do you want to kill me? Li Xianxian retorted. Of course not. Xianxian, why are you talking nonsense? Li Xianxian continued, since you don't want to kill me, don't ever mention this again. Li Shu sighed. Xianxian, we can't never meet for the rest of our lives, can we? Li Xianxian replied, when it's time to meet, we'll meet. Mom, your most important task now is to get to Beijing as soon as possible. Alright, I understand. You take care of yourself in Beijing. After hanging up the phone, Li Shu returned to the Mu family. The Mu family house was the same as before, 3 very low mud huts. The 2 weather-beaten gates were filled with a sense of vicissitudes, as if they could be broken by a gust of wind. The thought of leaving this rundown place and living the good life in the city filled Li Shu with elation. Old Lady Mu was in the courtyard, doting on her grandson. My precious little darling. Would you give Grandma a smile? The nearly 7-month-old baby was chubby, with bubbles of snot on his face. His neck and wrists were piled with fat folds, but his eyes lacked the brightness that a child his age should have, appearing hollow and listless. But nobody in the Mu family noticed this abnormality, treating him as their apple of their eye. After all, he was the Mu family's only grandson. "Mum, I have great news." Li Shu entered the courtyard from outside. "What's the big news?" Old Lady Mu looked up at Li Shu. "Mom," Li Shu continued, "our Xianxia is doing exceptionally well now." Old Lady Mu snorted coldly. What great achievements could that ungrateful wretch possibly have? She was just a burden, not even worth half of her golden grandson. Li Shu laughed and said, "I heard from my relatives in the city that Xianxia is now running 4 shops there, and business is booming. She's now a 10,000 yuan household. Isn't that great news?" 10,000 yuan household. In this era, being a 10,000 yuan household was a very big deal. Often you couldn't find one in 10 villages. Upon hearing this, Old Lady Mu asked in surprise, "That wretch is really a 10,000 yuan household now?" "Indeed," responded Li Shu, "my relative saw it with his own eyes." "Are you telling me he would lie to me?" "Mum, our Mu family has finally produced a capable person. It's just a shame that Suehua has already divorced Jinbao. Otherwise, you and Jinbao could have enjoyed her success too." At the end of her words, Li Shu sighed deeply. Old Lady Mu squinted her eyes. "Divorced? Even if she's divorced, she's still part of our Mu family. Where is that wretched girl now?" "Xianxia is in Beijing now," Li Shu answered. Old Lady Mu then said, "Ah Shu, go pack your things. We're going to Beijing tonight." Now that Ni Yang is a 10,000 yuan household, of course they have to go to Beijing immediately. After all, Ni Yang's money is the Mu family's money. If they don't go quickly, what if Ni Cuihua hooks up with some rogue and gives all the money to him? The Mu family's money should be under her control. It can't be stolen by some rogue. "Mom," Li Shu hesitated, then said, "There's something else I'd like to tell you, but you'll need to prepare yourself." "Tell me." Li Shu continued, "My relative told me that Xianxia has changed her surname. She now uses her mother's surname, and I. Do you think she'll still recognize us if we go to Beijing now?" "A name change? How dare that wretch change her surname?" Old Lady Mu angrily stood up, her eyes glaring. That ungrateful little wretch has really gone too far. She was born a Mu, and even in death shall be a Mu. Just wait. When I get to Beijing, I'll make her change her surname back. I'm her grandmother, you're her mother. Yaozong is her blood brother. She doesn't get to decide whether to acknowledge us or not. Chapter 359. Find Sun Sherwu, an eye for an eye, take it all as listed. _2. Ni Yang is nothing but part of the Mu family. What right does she have to deny us? As for this, the old Madam Mu didn't worry at all. Li Shu pretended to sigh, "But I am still a little worried." Mrs. Mu followed with, "Don't worry. I am her grandmother. She is not obliged to disobey me." Li Shu nodded, "Then I'll go pack now." Go ahead. I will go to call Jinbao back." Mu Jinbao was working in the fields. When he heard about this, he was overjoyed. He was so excited that he didn't even know his last name anymore. He had never dreamed that he could become a man of tens of thousands in his lifetime. Didn't expect this little wretch to be so capable. Old Madam Mu huffed, "What skill does a loss-making wench have? It's all because our old Mu family's ancestral grave is well located and can emit green smoke. Otherwise, the loss-making girl probably would have starved to death outside. Now, she doesn't know how to be thankful, and she even dared to change her surname. This time, I must give her a good lesson. Otherwise, this little wretch might even move heaven and earth." Mu Jinbao agreed, "Mom, you are right. She needs to be disciplined." Li Shu said, "Mom, how should we split those 4 shops? I heard from my relatives that the shops have a good business and can make several thousand yuan a day." "Several thousand a day?" Upon hearing this, lustful lights appeared in the eyes of both Mu Jinbao and Mrs. Mu. "Let me think about it," said old Madam Mu, squinting her eyes, calculating. "Let's divide it this way. Yaozong will get 2, he'll get 1, and you too will get 1. However, Yaozong is still young and his shop will be managed by me for now. Old Mrs. Mu was a cunning woman herself. After all, Li Shu was an outsider. Mu Jinbao was a simple-minded, honest man. Naturally, too much couldn't be given to Li Shu. What if Li Shu took the money earned from the shop and secretly nourished another man outside? All the money in their family belonged to Mu Yaozong. Okay, I have no objections. Although Lady Mu only gave her 1 shop. But sooner or later, those other 3 shops will also be hers. After all, Mu Yaozong was born from her womb. It's her womb which is creditworthy. Seeing that Li Shu had no objections, Mrs. Mu nodded in satisfaction. What the Mu family needed was such an obedient good daughter-in-law who could carry on the family line. Mom, there is something I don't know whether I should say or not. Li Shu hesitated to speak. Ah Shu, you speak. Li Shu continued, I think we should find a suitor for Yang Yang during our trip and marry her off early, so that she won't covet our family's money. After all, our Mu family's money shouldn't fall into the hands of outsiders. Li Shu had already made arrangements with Li Xianxia. While introducing suitors to Ni Yang, she would directly sell Ni Yang to human traffickers. To let her have no place to be buried. All the better to get her out of Li Xianxian's way. Mrs. Mu nodded. Ah Shu, what you said makes sense. Li Shu expressed her concern. It makes sense indeed, but what if Yang Yang refuses? Didn't my distant relative get scared off by her last time? Mrs. Mu shouted angrily, if that little wench dare to refuse, well, just lock her up. Not giving her any food until she agrees. The old ginger is always spicier. She didn't believe that little wench Ni Yang could be tougher than her. Then what about Sister Tsuehua? Li Shu continued. And I Tsuehua? Mrs. Mu said with a disgusted face, she is just a Shu that nobody wants. She doesn't deserve to live in our Mu family. Once we arrive at Beijing, I will let her roll as far as possible. Mom, is it a bit too harsh for us to do this to Sister Tsuehua? Li Shu said, after all, Yang Yang is her daughter, no matter what. Mrs. Mu said, Mu Yang is our Mu family's seed, what does she have to do with that cheap bitch? If it hadn't been for that worthless woman who can't have sons, maybe our Mu family would be prosperous by now. That bitch Mu Yang secretly lives a good life outside while making our whole family living in the country suffer hardships. Ah Shu, you are just too kind to speak for them. Old Mrs. Mu had made her decision. This time, after they arrived in Beijing, she would definitely make Ni Yang understand that as a grandmother she wasn't to be trifled with. Chapter 360. Find Sun Sherwu, an eye for an eye, take it all as per the list. _3. Or else, Ni Yang might believe that her grandma was just a papier-mâché figure. Mrs. Mu, whenever she thinks of Ni Tsuehua and her daughter using Mu family's money to live freely and comfortably, was getting so mad that her liver hurt. The family of 5 took all their belongings and went to the county city overnight, but since it was late when they arrived, the train tickets to Beijing were only available 3 days later. So, they had no choice but to buy these tickets. Ni Yang had recently been busy with the customized member system of Ice Skin and Jade Bone. She wasn't aware that the people from the Mu family were on their way here to Beijing. Yang Yang, someone is looking for you. Ni Kuihua's voice came from the yard. Someone is looking for her? Who could it be? Ni Yang put down her pen and walked toward the yard. Mr. Xiaozhou? Seeing the man that came, Ni Yang was slightly surprised. Miss Ni. Being a detective, Xiaozhou wouldn't visit her for no reason. Ni Yang chuckled and said, Mr. Xiaozhou, let me introduce you. This is my mom. Mom, this is my friend Mr. Xiaozhou. To Xiao's surprise, Ni Yang took the initiative to introduce him to her mom as her friend. Indeed, a great fortune in life is becoming friends with a beauty like Ni Yang. Xiaozhou cordially greeted, good to see you, auntie. You can just call me Xiaozhou. Ni Tsuehua nodded, nice to meet you, Xiaozhou. Yang Yang, lead Xiaozhou to take a seat inside. Mr. Xiaozhou, this way. Xiaozhou followed Ni Yang to the living room. Take a seat, Mr. Xiaozhou. I'll make some tea. Xiao Zhou somewhat embarrassedly replied, Miss and I, you don't have to be so polite. I only need to say a few words and then he'll leave. And Yang smilingly answered, It's no big deal, just a cup of tea. It wasn't long before Yang came over with a cup of freshly brewed tea. Xiao Zhou took a sip of the tea, originally thinking it was just an ordinary cup of green tea. Unexpectedly, it was surprisingly good. This tea was incredibly aromatic. Miss and I, where did you buy this tea? And Yang replied, I roasted it myself. Miss and I, you are truly remarkable. Xiao Zhou put down his teacup, then added, By the way, Miss and I, the reason for my visit is to discuss something with you. Although it was not a significant matter, Xiao Zhou believed it would indeed be of considerable importance to Yang. Please go ahead, Mr. Xiao Zhou. Xiao Zhou continued, Li Shu, Mu family's Bao, and their old lady are coming to Beijing. They will take a train tomorrow and will probably arrive in Beijing in 3 days. Since Yang had previously asked Xiao Zhou to look into Li Shu's past, Xiao Zhou had been keeping a close watch on Li Shu's movements. Actually, Xiao Zhou was returning a favor to Yang. After all, Yang had done him a great favor last time. Yang's eyes slightly narrowed. She didn't expect that the Mu family would take the initiative to come to her doorstep. Without a doubt, this had Li Xianxian's handprint all over it. What are you going to do now, Miss Yang replied calmly, with a faint smile, Of course I will accept everything as is. Unknowingly, Xiao Zhou seemed to see a touch of coldness from her smile. She didn't act like an 18-year-old girl at all, but rather like a seasoned woman who had seen it all. Even Xiao Zhou, a well-experienced detective, couldn't help but admire her. Yang continued, Mr. Xiao Zhou, this information is incredibly crucial to me. Thank you so much. Xiao Zhou replied, Miss and I, as you also said, we are friends. Friends should help each other out. If there's anything I can help you with in the future, feel free to tell me. Okay. Yang nodded, then added, My friends all call me Yang. You can call me that too, Mr. Xiao Zhou. Yang was very willing to make friends with the detective, which was one of the reasons she offered to help Xiao Zhou cure his insomnia. Xiao Zhou chuckled and said, Yang, then you can just call me Xiao Zhou. There's no reason for friends to call each other Mr. or Mississippi. Yang agreed without any pretense. Okay, Xiao Zhou. Xiao Zhou continued, Yang, now that everything has been clarified, I should go back. There's still work to do at the bureau. Yang stood up and said, Wait a moment, Xiao Zhou. Xiao Zhou halted, puzzled. Yang came back quickly, carrying a large glass jar full of tea leaves. Xiao Zhou, you like tea, don't you? This is for you. This is too valuable, I cannot accept it. Such a big jar of tea leaves must have taken a long time to collect, not to mention the time to roast them. Chapter 361. Find Sun Shiwu, give him a taste of his own medicine, except as per the list. _4. Xiao Zhou was not an ignorant person. Yang said with a smile, It's all tea that I made myself, it can't compare with bought tea as long as you don't mind. It was then that Xiao Zhou reached out to take it. Yang, you're too modest, your tea is much better than the bought one. Yang escorted Xiao Zhou all the way to the village entrance. After going back home, she rode her bike to the city. She went to the vegetable market and bought some stewed meat and vegetables, then went to the store to buy 5 bottles of liquor, and then walked to number 18, Backstreet Lane. Number 18 Backstreet Lane was inhabited by a bunch of social misfits. Rarely would someone as young and beautiful as Yang set foot there. By this time, quite a few individuals with dubious intentions had emerged. A shady-looking delinquent, with a rub of his hands, sneakily followed Yang, attempting to grab her shoulder. At that moment, Yang landed a perfect backspin kick. Bang! The person was harshly kicked to the ground, so much so that he didn't even have the strength to crawl up. The sound of gasps filled the air, and no one else dared to come forward. Yang, unobstructed, reached Sun Shiwu's residence. The door was closed. While knocking on the door, Yang called out, Uncle Shiwu, are you inside? It was quite a while before Sun Shiwu creaked open the door, grumbling, Who is it so early in the morning? Recognizing that it was Yang, Sun Shiwu smiled from ear to ear. It's Yang. What brings you here? Come inside quickly. As Sun Shiwu led Yang into the room, he kicked the empty liquor bottles on the ground. My room is a mess. I hope you don't mind, Yang. Yang said with a smile, I don't mind. If Aunt Ashu were with you, it certainly wouldn't be this messy. Whenever Li Shu was mentioned, that cheap woman, Sun Shiwu's anger surged. He launched into a torrent of swearing. Sun Shiwu cleared the messy table a bit. Yang, have a seat. Thank you, Uncle Shiwu. Yang put her things on the table. Uncle Shiwu, I brought some liquor and snacks. Sun Shiwu said somewhat embarrassedly, Yang, you've spent money on me again. Yang chuckled, it's okay. You are my elder, and I used to get along so well with Sister Dalian, so it's only right that I show respect to you. Sun Shiwu exclaimed, Yang, you are a good girl. Not like that disrespectful daughter. She no longer sees me as her father. Speaking of Sun Dalian, Sun Shiwu's eyes filled with venom again. As his words fell, Sun Shiwu continued, let's not talk about that damn girl. Bad luck. Today is a good day, let's have a drink. Sure. Yang nodded, setting out the stewed meat and vegetables. Sun Shiwu went inside to bring 2 ceramic cups. Worried Yang might mind his cups, Sun Shiwu washed them several times, then disinfected them twice with hot water. Although Sun Shiwu was not a reputable man, he held great respect for Yang. For one, he was impressed by Yang's skills, and secondly, Yang treated him really well. She brought him food, drinks, and even gave him money to spend. Thank you, Uncle Shiwu. Yang stood up and accepted the cups with both hands. Sun Shiwu said, we two are like family, no need for formalities. As the drinks flowed freely, Yang added, Uncle Shiwu, living alone like this isn't right. Have you considered finding Aunt Ashu and Sister Dalian? Sun Shiwu furiously slammed his cup onto the table. Once unfaithful, forever useless. Once I find them, they'll pay. Yang picked up a peanut. Uncle Shiwu, you're being too harsh. There might be some kind of misunderstanding. Being together as a family is always better than being alone. Besides, Sister Dalian has always been smart. If I can keep myself fed in Beijing, Sister Dalian can definitely do better. Just wait to enjoy the blessings brought by Sister Dalian. I don't even know where they are now, how can I enjoy any blessings? Sun Shiwu said, taking a big gulp of liquor in frustration. Yang laughed and said, rest assured, Sister Dalian is filial. She won't abandon you. Sun Shiwu sighed. Why couldn't he have a good daughter like Yang? Uncle Shiwu, I drink to you. I believe that in the future, Sister Dalian will surely bring you happiness. Then let's hope your words come true. Yang, let me drink to you. In this manner, Sun Shiwu got progressively drunk, and finally, he tried to make Yang his sworn sister, starting to address one another as siblings. You're tuning in to the Wandering Hero YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.